What up, Nerd Cole? It is I, Ruben, with Nerd Space Games, here to do round 3 of the best horror game of all time podcast, voted on by you guys, the community. You guys have all the power. I know a lot of people have been hitting up the comment section of a lot of these polls, pretty upset about some of the results, and I'm with you. There's a lot of games I'm pretty heartbroken about that's not here in the round 3 of the tournament. But hey, it's completely on you. You guys have all the power. You vote. You decide which horror game moves on in every single round of this tournament. All we do, me and these creators I'm about to introduce in just a moment, all we do is just talk about which games we like and how wrong we think you guys are sometimes, and which games we want to see move on in the tournament. We're just throwing our predictions and stuff like that, and just having a good time, and just, bring the community together, bringing a lot of creators together just to have a good time, and that's what this is all about. But before we jump into the round 3 bracket, we're going to introduce the round 3 bracket in just a moment. And then we'll go down the line and start doing our predictions. Before we do that, I want to introduce to one of the biggest casts that we have, like one of the biggest groups that we've had for a podcast. I think the most I've ever had for a podcast was maybe 4 or 5 people total. We officially reached over that. A lot of different creators here. Excited to introduce each of them. Some new faces, some familiar faces, all that fun stuff. So let's just go down the line on the order I have, starting with a lot of you guys are very familiar with him because I stream a lot with him. We do co-op streams all the time, but we're gonna start with Conjured Lion. How's it going, my dude? I'm gonna stop you right there because I didn't want to mute you, so let's try that again. Conjured Lion, how's it going, my dude?
Hello, thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here, man. Glad to see you here as always. And then of course we got a new face here, someone that I've just recently started talking to, and I'm really excited to have them here. It is, of course, MMDVG. We call him MM. How's it going, my dude?
It's going great, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for being here. Very excited to have you here. Conjure Lion falling asleep. That sounds like Conjured. And then we're going to say hello to the next face. Now, this is probably the only person on this stream that's not a horror-focused channel, but I love this guy. I love having him here. I love getting his opinion. And one of the first channels I was watching before I became a creator myself, that is Podcast Now. How's it going, my dude?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for the kind words. It's good to be back after seeing quite the round 2 we had here.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm excited to jump straight into that. But we got a few more introductions. Another familiar face. We're at one of the biggest channels that I've had the pleasure of interacting with, connecting with. I like this dude. I love his opinions. We may not agree on a lot of things, but you know what? It's all good and fun time. And it's kind of how you avoid being toxic. You can disagree with people, just don't be toxic about it. But that is, of course, Under the Mayo. Love to have you here, my dude.
I'm back again. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here.
And you're on a roll. You've been to every single one. You and Conjured have been to every single one of these. I believe now at this point. You guys are setting the bar, I guess.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, one of the first creators that actually decided to give me their time of day because I was like maybe less than 1,000 subscribers at the time. Helped me through a lot. Helped me really grow as a content creator myself. That is, of course, Rapid Crafter. How's it going, my dude?
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So that is our large, very, very large cast today. We got a lot to talk about. As always, we want you guys in the chat to interact with us. We want to hear your opinions as we go over each of these matchups. We're going to get each other's opinions, but we want to hear your opinions in the chat, and we'll try to interact with you guys as much as possible. Obviously, we'll prioritize the super chats if there's any super chats, but we're going to try to interact with the chat as much as possible. It's going to be more likely this time, considering the fact that we've gone from what started out 64 matchups in round 1, 32 matchups in round 2. Now we have 16 matchups. So hopefully this podcast, knock on wood, guys, because I know I was wrong the last 2 times, but hopefully this podcast doesn't go as long as it did the last couple times. I think
we'll find a way to make it go much longer.
I'm sure.
It depends on how far Alien Isolation has made it in this tournament. We'll see.
Ooh, well, you might be happy to hear some stuff coming up in just a moment. Spoilers. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump straight into this. We'll start talking right away. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share it in 3, 2, Let's remove that first. And there you go, guys. All right, chat. So you should be able to see it. Hopefully anybody that is watching the stream can see the current bracket. Like I said, we got about 16 matchups to go over. Now, what we're going to do is, as I said earlier, we're going to just give you guys our predictions. We'll talk a little bit about the previous round, but, and, you know, there's 6 of us here this time. So we're going to try to avoid talking too much about the previous round and focus mainly on the current matchups. That way we don't like double up in time and somehow hit 3 hours, even though we have like a half of last stream's amount of matchups. We'll see how it goes though. And by the way, creators, for this goes for all of you guys. I know podcast now, you probably have to dip out at a specific time. That goes for all of you guys. If at any point in time you guys have to dip out, don't feel bad. Just let me know and take off. If you sound good.
Sounds good.
I bet.
All right, cool. So let's jump straight into it. So we're going to look at the first matchup of round 1. BioShock, the number 1 seed, still hanging in there, made it all the way to round 3, despite a lot of people in the chat of the polls not happy about it. A lot of people still feel like this isn't a horror game. But BioShock is number 1 seed, still in there, going up against Mayo's favorite game on this entire list, Resident Evil Village.
Oh, Jesus Christ! You gotta like, you did this on purpose.
I didn't do shit. I just created the poll. Everyone else decided stuff. I think I was on vacation during this poll, so I have no say what happened. But yeah, your village is still in here, Mayo. So let's start with you, man. So I think I know the answer, but which one do you think should make it through, and which one you think will make it through?
I mean, I am against everything Village stands for, and the very little that I've played of BioShock, I played it a couple times. I need to play it again because I played it on console and didn't really click. I'd like to play it again on PC and give it another chance. But the little I did play of it wins, I mean, just by default. So BioShock needs to win. Moral imperative.
Yeah, so I'll go and chime in on this one next. So I've been the biggest defender of Village. I think I hated on Village way too much when I first played it. I like it a lot more now. I still don't think it should be BioShock though. I think it should be Outbreak. I'm fine with it beating Outbreak last time. I'm okay with it beating Crow Country. You know, I think Crow Country should. I went on that might beat Dead Island. I was okay with it beating Dead Island. But yeah, BioShock has to be the end of the line for Village. I'm with you this time, Mayo. BioShock's got to take this one. What are you feeling, Rabbit Crafter? You're up next.
The bias in me is Village, but if we're being fair and honest, since I just replayed BioShock, I think Village is gonna win just because the bias, but I think BioShock should win.
Yeah, I agree 100% there.
I never looked at it as a horror game, but until you said it, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna go play it again, and like, I'd say it is. It's got its elements for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's actually if you look at the numbers, it's a pretty big matchup, not just because of the titles, but you see that BioShock won by 72-28. Village beat Outbreak 84-16. So I mean, they're both coming in strong. This is, I mean, it could be a toss-up really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think because, you know, the polls are being posted on my channel, which is primarily a Resident Evil channel. I would be shocked if a Resident Evil game doesn't win every single time, unfortunately. But yeah, no. I think it's gonna be a good matchup. I think it's gonna be closer than most of the Resident Evil versus non-Resident Evil matchups have been. But yeah, I think Village is gonna take it. Rooting for BioShock. Let's go, Bio. What do you got? Let's go to the podcast now. What do you think?
Oh boy. Yeah, I kind of agree with what I mean. Like I like Resident Evil Village. I'm more on your side, but yeah, BioShock definitely has the horror. Like this is an example of like BioShock. I think is far and away the better game, and then it's like how much do you care about better game? It's the better game versus the horror kind of angle that we've played before. And BioShock does have the horror, like for sure though. So again, yeah, I feel like it should be BioShock, but you know. The channel but the legacy of BioShock might carry. I think I agree with you. It could be like a 60-40, you know, type vote when all's said and done.
Yeah, be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm excited. What are you thinking, my dude?
Yeah, I kind of agree. BioShock has that iconography that all old vintage games have. Even though it's not exactly a horror game, it's still horror adjacent enough. Resident Evil Village is one of my favorite Resident Evils, but
Oh, okay.
Bioshock's gameplay loop, it's
Ooh.
one of my favorite Resident Evils. I'm not gonna lie, I love Village, even though it had its shortcomings, especially after I played the RE4 remake. Yeah, Bioshock. I feel has a better gameplay loop than Village, and a lot of people remember a lot of that aspect of Bioshock. So I think it's gonna win pretty easily.
Nice. All right, cool. You might be one of the first people I've heard say Village is one of their favorite Resident Evil games. I like that though. I like a variety of different opinions. So that's pretty cool, man.
Oh wow, I'm sticking out.
There you go.
Village is pretty popular. A lot of people like Village. I
Yeah.
think there are circles where you find a lot of Village hate. I mean, obviously, I'm a big Village hater, but like a lot of people, it's a very
Really? I
high.
couldn't tell.
Very really. I just have the most negative video on the game in the fucking YouTube. But I mean, you look at critics. It has it got great reviews. It got a lot of great fan reaction. Like it's not surprising that a lot of people like Village.
Fair. Okay. Conjure Lion, man. What are you feeling here?
So because of the bias, I know Village is going to win. That's gonna obviously happen, but I think BioShock should win overall. I mean, I loved Village. It took me a few playthroughs to kind of like appreciate Village because I didn't hate it at the first time. I just didn't like it as other people did. But I still think BioShock is just the better game overall. So I think BioShock should win.
Okay, cool. Good to hear. So I feel like a lot of us think BioShock should win. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was just MM who thinks should be Village. Rapid, did you say it should be Village or did you say it should be BioShock? I think you were the only one.
I said I think it'll be Village, but I want it to be BioShock.
Okay,
It should be
cool.
BioShock.
All right. Well, look at you, MM, already sticking out on your first time on the podcast, my dude.
Well, I know Bioshock's gonna win, but
Yeah.
Village has a special place in my heart.
For sure. I totally respect that. All right.
I
So
think Village is gonna take it. I think Village
Yeah.
is stronger than maybe we anticipate. I know
Really?
Bioshock's a big dog, but I think Village has a lot of support. I would not be shocked if Village takes it.
yeah, I mean, I think just for the Resident Evil name is probably gonna make it pretty far until it gets to like round 5, and then it'll probably run into some difficulty.
And it's the only original Resident Evil in the last 8 years. It's got that behind it too. It's like it's an official Resident Evil. It's Resident Evil 8.
I never thought about it like that. I guess
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah. You know, RE9, where you at? Come on. All right, next
For real.
matchup. So we got Left 4 Dead 2, which took out LS2, which I think we all predicted that was probably going to happen. Taking on, it's actually, hey, look, it's the battle of the non-Resident Evil zombie games. Left 4 Dead 2 versus the Walking Dead Telltale series. So Left 4 Dead 2 is obviously asymmetrical horror game, one of the first like big major asymmetrical horror games that really took the community by storm. Loved it. The Walking Dead Telltale, one of the best stories, like narrative driven horror games out there. I absolutely love it. This is really hard for me because I like these two games for completely different reasons. Does anyone already have an opinion right away? Because I need a second.
I do.
All right, let's see what you got.
Left 4 Dead 2 has a much better gameplay loop. Telltale has a much better story. So if I'm going gameplay, it should be Left 4 Dead. If I'm going story, it's Telltale. So I don't know. I'm somewhere in between there.
Turn your volume just a little bit
This,
down.
this is a really hard one because I would piggyback off that, right? Because like Left 4 Dead 2 is so, let's just say, so gameplay focused, and then The Walking Dead. And now again, it's how seriously you take like the horror, because like a good amount of Walking Dead, the story of what makes it, like it's because of the zombies, but it's really these people trying to survive. You know what I mean? So like, does that make it? Is that the horror elements that shine through? So I think if you're gonna really nitpick the meaning of horror, it probably should be Left 4 Dead 2, but I think I'd actually prefer Walking Dead.
All right, interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's split.
It's tough. This is actually the hardest one, I feel.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
I'm
Go ahead.
I want to say The Walking Dead. I love Left 4 Dead 2. Well, not as much as Left 4 Dead 1, but The Walking Dead has that history. It has a massive fan base, and I feel like it's a lot more memorable than the Left 4 Dead series, in my
Ooh.
opinion.
Breaking my childhood right now, ruining it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I love
Nah, I
the
feel
Left
it.
4 Dead, like, but Walking Dead is just, especially
It's
the
too
Telltale
iconic.
thing. It's iconic, and
Yeah.
it's so funny because they're two very different games. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to put exact opposites together, those are like games that are the
Oh, yeah.
exact opposite. So it's very hard, but in my opinion, it's going to be The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I mean, James, ain't no need for a story when you're mowing down hordes of zombies. Yeah, fair. Let's go to Conjure this time. What are you feeling, Conjure?
I think Left 4 Dead 2, but this is only because I did enjoy The Walking Dead for like the first 2 seasons maybe, and then it just falls off for me. But overall, Left 4 Dead is kind of the more fun game. I mean, it's cooperative. You can play with your friends. It's just a better gameplay experience to me, in my opinion. But I still love The Walking Dead though. But I'm
Yeah.
still picking Left 4 Dead.
All right, fair. I'll chime in next, and then we'll go to you, Mayo. So
You can keep me out of it. Left 4 Dead 2 came out in a time in my life where it was a little hard for me to play games, and then it just kind of passed me by. Played a little bit of the first one, and I didn't play The Walking Dead one. I just watched the show, so I got nothing to say.
all right, totally fair. Yeah, you definitely should play Walking Dead. It's one of the best stories, just for the storyline. Even if you want to watch like videos on YouTube, honestly, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. But
I wouldn't mind it. I actually downloaded Left 4 Dead 2 a while ago. I just never launched it. I'll get there
Nice.
someday.
cool. Well, hey, you ever play? I downloaded it too, so I'll play with you. I've been
Nice.
meaning to play with a
Good to
group
know.
of people. I know Conjure Line was telling me how they had that mod completely going off the rails already. But
the
Left 4 Dead
mods
2
are
has that
crazy.
Resident Evil mod that you were telling me about, like the Spencer Mansion or whatever. That sounds pretty
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah, I played those. Those are good.
I gotta
That's
play
pretty
it.
good.
Sounds pretty cool. All right. Yeah. So for me, like, I mean, you guys all pretty much said everything that I was thinking. It's gameplay versus story here, really. They're both horror games in my opinion, despite some people saying otherwise. I consider them both horror games. A horror game doesn't have to be a scary game, and I hate that that keeps coming up in the polls. A horror game does not have to be a scary game. They're two completely different things in my opinion. But if I was going based on which one had a bigger impact on me, I gotta go Left 4 Dead 2. I love the story in the Walking Dead Telltale series. I absolutely adore it. I think the first season is like top tier, one of the best stories you can ever experience in a video game. But Left 4 Dead 2, man, that literally took over my childhood for a long period of time. I could not stop playing that game for the longest time, and I still go back to it every now and then. So I gotta go Left 4 Dead 2.
There we
Hey.
go.
Q.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to the thumbnail matchup already. So we got Resident Evil 2 Remake versus Silent Hill 3. This is a big
Oh.
one. I think this is a major one.
Nice.
I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I think the Resident Evil community might push a little bit more towards Resident Evil 2 Remake, especially since it's like one of the more popular entries of the franchise, I feel like. So I think Silent Hill 3 could be in trouble, but I think both of these games are absolutely masterpieces. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out. But let's go down the line. Let's start with you, Mayo. Resident Evil 2 Remake versus Silent Hill 3. What do you got?
Ooh, the pressure. I mean, it is a battle of titans right now in terms of I mean, Resident Evil 2 Remake wins on survival horror gameplay. It proved that you can take classic 90s survival horror action design and make it modern for a modern audience and make it a AAA and sell millions of copies. It showed you can do that. It shows that it is not dated. It works. It is immortal, that style of gameplay, survival horror. And so it just wins on gameplay. But Silent Hill 3 as a horror game, if we're, this is not a survival horror tournament. This is a horror tournament, right?
Yeah, horror tournament.
So,
Just
I-
best horror game of all time.
Yeah, I think I have to go Silent Hill 3 just because of that. I think Resident Evil 2 is the better survival horror game.
Mhm.
Silent Hill 3 doesn't have inventory management. It's so you can hold all the bullets you want, right? The combat. Come on, Silent Hill 3 combat is not good, right? And we know that, but it's got the puzzles, it's got the atmosphere, it's got the story, it's got the visuals that haunt your dreams. It's got the mirror room, which just terrified me as a
Yeah.
kid. I gotta go Silent Hill 3. Like I said, RE2 remake would win in a battle of survival horror. But horror in general, I'm going to go Silent Hill 3, and I don't know if it's going to win. This is a wild card for me. Toss up.
Yeah. Yeah, if any game could take out a Resident Evil game, it would be
Yeah.
one of the most popular Silent Hill games. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Okay, let's go to podcast now. What are you feeling, dude?
Oh, well, to the past points that were made too, like you look at where they came from. Resident Evil 2 like destroyed, like even Prey, which is a phenomenal game that I see got destroyed there. Like both of these games had quite the cruise to get here.
Yeah.
I feel like the impact of Resident Evil 2, like that's I guess what I would probably lean into. I guess like whether or not it's the better of them, I feel like that one would just take it, right? Just because of what it did. You said it's the remake, but I mean, you think to the original and then also what the remake did for it, did for the just remakes in general, right? Like it did all the what Mayo just said, but also just like how to do like almost a perfect remake in general. So I feel like, and it's kind of a recency bias type thing too. So I feel like that probably carries RE2.
Okay, cool. I totally respect that.
Is that what you
let's-
think should? Is that what you think should win though?
I
mean, you're
prefer
making a
RE2.
prediction.
I like RE2. So
Okay.
I would pick it, and I also think that it, because it's so recent, remake, did everything you just said, like those
Yeah.
three things, I feel like would carry it to other people too.
Totally respectable. Yeah, I get it.
All right, yeah. I'll go next. Just jump in real quick because I think I have my answer. So the OG Resident Evil 2 was my favorite game of all time. Well, behind Kingdom Hearts 2. I know it's a random game to have above it, but Kingdom Hearts 2 and Resident Evil 2 are like my two favorite games of all time. The remake of Resident Evil 2 I like a little less than the original game, but it's still up there, one of my favorite games of all time as well. So, and same thing for Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3, I go back and forth between that and Silent Hill 2 remake as my favorite Silent Hill game. So I really, really, really love both of these games, and it kills me because both of these games are probably easily my top 5 horror games of all time. So, oh man, I think for the full package, looking at everything both of these games do, I think for the full package for the best horror game, I gotta lean slightly towards Silent Hill 3. Just because multiple different reasons, mainly just the atmosphere of Silent Hill 3 itself. I feel like it's also the scary game. Not that the horror game has to be scary, but if it did, Silent Hill 3 is easily one of the scariest games I've ever played. I think it's the scariest Silent Hill game out there. Everything about Silent Hill 3 just really, really pulls to me. It's one of my favorite horror games ever created. So is Resident Evil 2 remake, but I think slight edge to Silent Hill 3 I have to go with. If it was OG Resident Evil 2, I would go Resident Evil 2 OG, but for the remake, I would go Silent Hill 3. So that's my pick.
I agree, yeah. Silent Hill 3 is incredible. It's very scary. Even for an older game, I've come to notice that a lot of older games don't scare me as much. But Silent Hill 3 still is a pretty scary game. And Resident Evil 2 Remake it's good in terms of like a technical standpoint, like, you know, how advanced technology has gotten between the remake and the original. It's a good frame of reference to see what Capcom can do with an engine. But in terms of pure sheer horror and that sort of gameplay, Silent Hill 3 still takes the cake, in my opinion.
Sure. I will say, I want to throw out there real quick. By the way, prediction wise, I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is going to win it because, you know, Resident Evil. So I would not be surprised if Resident Evil 2 Remake wins against Silent Hill 3. But I do want to throw out, and maybe this is just a nitpick for Resident Evil 2 Remake. I love the game. Absolutely think it's fantastic. I do think if it had the more like loyal, like more respectful, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just say more loyal to the A and B scenario that we saw in the original Resident Evil 2. I think it would have like I would appreciate a lot more, because the original Resident Evil 2, I felt like I could replay that game like just to get the entire picture, the entire story stuff like 4 times, whereas the remake of Resident Evil 2, there's really no point in playing it other than, you know, for hardcore Resident Evil fans like ourselves. There's really no point in playing it through it like after the second time. So I think the Zapping system wasn't a big part, but I do think that was something that was missing. But the A and B scenario, if it was more loyal to the OG's A and B scenario, I would probably pick Resident Evil 2 Remake. But that is one of the things that really hit me hard with the remake of Resident Evil 2.
That's not an uncommon complaint. I mean, most people feel like that.
Yeah.
So I think we got Conjure and Rapid left, right? Who wants to go first?
Conjured, you can go.
Okay.
And this is like, oh my god, this is like neck to neck for me because Silent Hill 3 is actually my favorite Silent Hill game, and in terms of remakes, RE2 is my favorite remake. I know RE2 remake is gonna win because of the bias. I do love Silent Hill 3 more because of the horror factor of it. But man, Resident Evil 2 with that community support, man, with the mods, holy shit. The game is practically still alive because of that.
Fair.
But oh my god. I'm picking Silent Hill 3. I'm picking Silent Hill 3 just for the horror itself. I love RE2 remake, but I'm still picking SH3.
For sure. I mean, Silent Hill 3, like, I know you're one of the biggest supporters of that game, so I would have been surprised if you didn't
freaking
pick
love
Silent
that
Hill 3.
game,
Yeah, I
man.
know. I know you do. So that's what I would have been surprised if you didn't pick it. Although, you know, we don't mention the blood bucket, but
Oh my, no, don't.
okay, Rabbit, what do you got, my dude?
Well, I seem to be the only person here who has yet to play Silent Hill 3. I
Oof.
know. But I have played the original. The only Silent Hill game I've played is the original Silent Hill 2 and the remake. So, and I remember before going into, which is, I know it's a completely different game, but you know, same series and from the same team. I remember going into that game, especially when a couple of you guys were telling me to play it, and all my other friends are telling me, you got to play Silent Hill, it's so good. I'm like, it's probably an overrated series. I'm probably not going to get scared. You guys are just overplaying it. I finished OG Silent Hill 2. I was clapping on my screen. No one else around me. I was clapping on my screen. I'm like, dude, that's a horror game right there. So just going off of that basis on what Silent Hill can provide, that alone makes me want Silent Hill 3 to win. And from what you guys are saying, it sounds like, you know, Silent Hill just kind of, at least those first 3 games, maybe even the 4th one, they have that atmosphere. They have that continuous atmosphere of you know, dread and horror and whatnot. So I think on that basis alone, Silent Hill 3 should win. But man, you guys made some good points about RE2 remake. That's probably my 3rd favorite remake. First would be RE1, then RE4, then 2. But like what Mayo said, I mean, RE2 remake, it's kind of like what the original Resident Evil 4 did, where it really revolutionized, you know, I guess like modern game design, you know, to really prove that like survival horror can be done, but you know, if it's done right. Because a lot of people are like, oh, that gameplay's so outdated, and it's really not. You know, I mean, RE2 proves that like you can do it right. So that alone, and the fact that they made that happen in so many games, Dead Space, Silent, all these other remakes that have come out are clearly inspired off of that game, shows like how revolutionary it is. So I mean, I'm in the same boat. I think RE2 is gonna win because of the bias, but I think Silent Hill 3 should be the one. I think that's the better horror game. Even though I've never played it again, going off of Silent Hill 2 and that vibe and atmosphere that game provided, I feel like Silent Hill is overall like a better horror, like dread series in my opinion. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. I want to answer a question that someone pointed out in the chat. So what happens when the vote is exactly 50-50? So if that does happen,
then Mayo decides.
Mayo decides. So the thing I came up with that if we were going to do it, I went back and forth between 2 different things, and you guys can let me know in here, creators, you guys can let me know which one you think we should go with. So the 2 different things I had in mind, if we end up having a tie, which however unlikely it might be, if we end up having a tie at exactly 50% each, the 2 things I came up with is that 1, we either look at their past, like their previous round, like how much do they win by their percentage, compared to for both games that are going up against each other, or the one I was leaning more towards is that we just vote, like us, the creators, get to finally have a say, and we just decide which one moves forward between the group of us. That's probably what I'm leaning towards, but you guys can let me know your opinion on how to handle that. I don't know if you guys have a preference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
down
that.
for whatever.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think
It
it's a
won't
good
happen.
idea, though.
It probably won't happen. But if it does, yes, us creators, I'll message this exact chat that we're all in right now, and we'll just vote on which one we think should move forward. So there you go, chat. That's what's gonna happen if there's a 50-50 tie at any point in the poll. Don't think it will happen, but if it does, that's what's gonna happen. Problem
We could
solved.
even potentially be bought depending on the price too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we're not, above bribes at all. So definitely hit us up. You know where to find all of us. Okay, so let's look at. Oh wait, no.
This tournament sponsored by Tormented Souls 2. Oh, what do you
let's
know?
go.
Tormented Souls won the tournament.
Interesting. Unfortunately, they got eliminated first round. I'm
Yeah,
still so bitter about that shit, but whatever.
Yeah.
The past is the past. All right, so let's look at the next matchup. We got Resident Evil 2002 Remake against Slender the Arrival. I'm not even going to waste any time on my end. Resident Evil 2002 Remake is going to murder Slender the Arrival.
Just pass by the entire.
Does anybody
round.
feel any different at all about this matchup?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Slender.
No.
All
I'm
right.
picking Slender.
I am excited though, because that means Resident Evil 2002 Remake next round is going up against either Resident Evil 2 Remake or Silent Hill 3. So probably
Another heartbreaker.
yeah. So that's gonna be a massive battle right there.
Oof.
I mean, or Silent Hill 3 versus RE1 Remake.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big. Yeah, either way, regardless of what Resident Evil 2002 Remake goes up against, it's gonna be a major matchup next round. So
Yeah.
very excited to see how that plays out. I can't wait to see that. But yeah, Slender, props to Slender. It made it a lot farther than a lot of us wanted to, except for Death Stranding. I don't like Death Stranding better than Starlight's not here, so it's all good. But yeah, so Slender made it a lot farther than it probably should have, but it's the end of the line for you, Slender. Moving on to an actual good matchup. We got Fear 2 that has actually been surprising me a lot in this bowl. I mean, it took out Silent Hill Origins, and then it took out The Last of Us Part 2.
What?
And yeah, it did barely, but it did it. So here we are. Fear 2 somehow
That game's hated.
yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, so Fear 2 took out Last of Us and a Silent Hill title. That's too big, in my opinion, two
Wow.
bigger names than both, than what Fear is. I love Fear 2, but I'm surprised to see it taking out two other major franchises. Anyways, Fear 2 is taking on Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, which had a arguably easier road here. So this is the battle of the sequels. Who wants to start this one off? Fear 2 versus Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Conjure, let's go to you if you have an opinion on this one.
I did enjoy Fatal Frame 2. I forgot the other sister's name. Just her freaks me out alone with that mechanic that she does where she's staring at a corner and you don't know what it is until you kind of interact with her. I do love that about that game. That's what makes that game unique. Fear 2, I also did enjoy. It's probably my favorite first person action horror game, I guess you can call it, but I'm picking Fatal Frame 2 overall
Nice.
out of the two.
I'll go next just because you guys already know. So we did our dark horses, which actually, you know what? Damn. MM and Rapid, we should have got, and podcast, we should have got your dark horse picks, because we did it last episode where we picked dark horses. And Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly is actually my dark horse. I think is going to go a lot farther than a lot of people think it would. I think it's a true masterpiece. I think people absolutely love this game. I love Fear 2. It's actually my favorite Fear game. I know a lot of people prefer the first one. I love the second Fear game. I think it's phenomenal, but Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, come on, masterpiece. In every aspect of survival horror or horror in general, the story, the music, the ambience, the setting, the characters, everything about Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly is fantastic. It's one of the best horror games ever created. So I'm gonna go Fatal Frame 2 Butterfly. But yeah, who's up next? Let's go. How about you, MM?
Yeah, I'm going to Fatal Frame as well. I enjoyed Fear 2, but I do have more of a nostalgia factor when it comes to Fatal Frame. Fatal Frame 2 scared the hell out of me when I was younger, and Fear 2 just never really scared me. It kind of gave me like action thriller vibes
Thank
versus
you.
Fatal Frame is just pure horror. So I'm gonna go Fatal Frame too.
Okay, awesome. And I just want to say a quick thank you to Tony Sonic for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that, dude. Very, very much. On the subject of fear, who do you think wins a fight? Alma Wade or Evelyn Baker? I think I actually did. No, it was Alessa. Never mind. I think Alma Wade 100% easily. I think Evelyn Baker is why is there Baker at the end? Is she technically a baker, I guess? I mean, she kind of like adopted the family, so maybe. But yeah, I think I'm a way to 100% Texas. I think her powers are way more like advanced than what Evelyn's able to do. But that's my opinion. You guys have opinion on that question?
No. I could agree with Alma.
Okay, cool.
Eve is pretty. She died to like a couple of like bullets and stuff. So
those are like superior rounds or something. Those are like laced with like some kind of, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I agree. Actually, Alma Wade's also like technically spoiler, but technically dead already. So that makes her even more like dangerous, I guess. But moving on, let's go to Rabbit Crafter next. What do you got? Fear 2 or Fatal Frame 2?
I have never played a Fear game or a Fatal Frame game, but I do have the entire Fatal Frame series installed on my computer, so I will play it eventually. But
Yeah, you better. You gotta play
I
both.
will. Oh, most definitely. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I'm excited to get into it, but yeah, no comment.
Mayo, let's go to you next.
I never played the Fatal Frame games, sadly, and I only played a little Fear 2, so I got to go Fear 2 just by
Yeah.
it's the only thing I know. But as for which, I don't know. I mean, they both appear to have pretty strong fan bases, don't they? I mean, I know a lot of people love Fatal Frame, so Fear 2 is surprising to me. I didn't know it had this much support.
Neither did
So,
I'm really
toss-up for me.
surprised like that. Like
No.
Silent Hill, it took out Silent Hill entry. Albeit, not the most popular Silent Hill game out there, but still took out Silent Hill name and the Last of Us name
strong enough to do that. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
for sure. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly is the next Code Veronica for you. That is my homework for you. You gotta do it. I think you'll love it. I think you might even love it more than you loved Code Veronica. Just saying. So podcast now, what do you got?
Well, anticlimactic, but I would echo exactly what he just said. I've played the Fear, so I would go with Fear 2. But you've sold me on Fatal. The first live stream and this live stream, you've really talked up that game. So I've written it down. It's on my list, and I will get to it. But I believe you. And it's cleaned up more than, like you said. I mean, Fear 2's had more stiff competition. But it's really gone pretty easily, Fatal Frame. So I wouldn't be shocked if Fatal Frame actually made it. But I would have to default to Fear 2.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if Fear 2 wins. I'll be shocked. I mean, like I said, it already surprised me enough with The Last of Us and Silent Hill losing to it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I got to everybody, right? I think so. So moving on.
Yeah.
Let's go Silent Hill 2 Remake versus Condemned Criminal Origins.
That's a wash. I'm sorry. Silent Hill 2 takes it. It's a wash.
Oh, you are... See, me and you are going to get along a lot, but someone else in this call might not appreciate what you said. But I'm with you, MM. I'm there with you. Silent Hill 2 Remake, I absolutely love it. I think Silent Hill 2 Remake takes it for sure. But I'm just curious though, Mayo, what do you think?
I mean, I've made myself clear. I don't think Silent Hill 2 Remake is a bad game. I just don't like it. I think it could have been a lot better. I didn't put it in my worst of the year list for a reason. I don't think it's bad, but I definitely don't think it's good either. So
Really?
yeah, I do not. But it'll probably win. I mean, most people loved it, so what do I know?
Why specifically though? It just didn't rub you the wrong way. I mean, the right way.
Long story short, I feel like they artificially extended the experience to justify the price tag that people expect. People expect 20-hour games now, when Silent Hill 2 is really an experience that should be like 8 to 10 hours. And they really stretched it out without justifying it. and you just end up with levels that are 3 times longer than they were before. You end up in 3 times the amount of combat when the combat isn't really anything other than swing and sidestep. It just wore me out, man. By the time I finished the hospital, I was just like, I just want this to be over. So that's generally how I feel about it. I hate the voice actor for Maria. I don't like how they censored her costume while they kept everyone else's outfit the same. Things they changed in the endings that rubbed me the wrong way. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, the camera too. Fuck that camera.
What?
Yeah.
So
and
you're
I mean,
saying
yeah.
you're-
You don't make a game with a camera that freaks out when you end up with your back against a wall, and then have all your combat take place in claustrophobic environments. That
I
way,
agree with
anytime you're
that.
every time you go to a wall, the camera goes and it zooms into your character model. Oh, it's infuriating. There's a 7-minute section in my video just about the camera. Can't stand it. Okay, moving on. It's gonna win. It's gonna win.
So what you're saying is you're rooting for Silent Hill 2 remake, right? That's what I
Rooting
got
for-
out of that.
That's exactly what I said.
All right,
Exactly what I
I'm
said.
glad we're on the same page here.
Okay. All right. I mean, like, all right.
I would be curious if you watched my review, what you would think. I'll just leave it like that, and then you can DM me if you watch it, and we can talk if you want.
Okay, I'll watch your review, and then, but I do agree on some that it does feel a little bit slow. Like the pacing is
Yeah.
a little bit all right, but I think, and for to play the devil's advocate, I think that's for people that's never played Silent Hill 2. They need something to like buy their time because people like long games now because games are so expensive.
That's
for
exactly
us-
what I just said.
Yeah. Like I understand it, but for us, it's like, damn, this part is a little bit longer than when you play the OG. So I did feel that same sentiment. All right, but I'm gonna watch your review
Well,
and then I'm gonna get back to you.
Just curious what you think. We'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah. Me and Mayo obviously disagree here, so we're not gonna go through. We've already went through this exact same conversation probably the last 2 times.
Friendly
He's not the
disagreement, of
biggest-
course.
Yeah. yeah. We disagree, but hey, we respect each other's opinions. So I totally
yes.
understand. I agree with all the faults that you pointed out for sure. It just
And
probably
again,
doesn't
I
affect
did-
me as much.
Didn't put it in my worst of the year list.
Yeah.
I gave it my most disappointing because I was
Yeah.
disappointed, but I'm not going to go out and say the game's trash.
Yeah.
I think that would be ridiculous.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. I respect it, honestly.
All right, so let's have everybody else chime in here. Let's go to you, podcast now. What are you feeling here?
Sorry.
no. I just love messing with you guys.
No, it's good. I like that.
I don't have much to say. Silent Hill 2. That's it. I'm a big fan. I got
All right.
nothing really more to add.
Okay, let's go Conjured.
SH2. Let's go Silent Hill 2.
You know, I'm really feeling bad for Mayo right now. Maybe I should just like flip. I'm totally fine with flipping. I like making
It's
things interesting. What do you got,
It's
Rapid?
fine.
Well, I've never played Condemned, but I've seen a ton of videos. Like I've seen enough to kind of get a vibe for the atmosphere. And it's ironic because Mayo, your video is actually the one that kind of reinforced my issues with the game. Because I finished a game and I'm like, am I the only one that feels this way? And then I watched your review and I'm like, all right, so I'm not crazy. So I agree with the camera. I feel like that's one thing a lot of people overlook because I don't know if it's just the way I play or what, but it does get frustrating when you got like 3-4 enemies on you and you're back into the the camera. Yeah, that I agree with. And then the length of the game, that's a struggle because on some days, especially with Resident Evil, I'm like, well, if Capcom made a Resident Evil game that's 30 hours long, I would love it. I want a long game. But then the other part of me is like, I kind of like shorter horror experiences. I don't want my game to be bloated. And if the game is longer, I don't want it to be stretched out just for the sake of it. Oh, it's a $70 game, so we got to stretch out the game time. So
If you're going to double the length of your game, but not double your enemy variety, you just get tired of fighting the same guy. Over
yeah,
and over.
it just gets repetitive. So in that way, like those are my 2 biggest issues with Silent Hill 2 specifically. There's a couple other things, but for me it was the camera and just the length of the game, you know, because it's easy to look at a game that's $70 and like you know, like you said, people look at a game like that and they're like, oh, I expect my game to be. It's like it's a survival
Mhm.
horror game. It should be shorter. It shouldn't be. And if
Yeah.
you know, like I said, if you're
Yeah.
gonna switch it out, don't just fill it with filler. You know, add some variety, switch it up. So you know, just do something different. It
In
didn't
my
really do that.
opinion, I don't. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I
What were
was
you
gonna
gonna
say,
say?
in my opinion. Now, I was agreeing with you. In my opinion, I don't think horror games should be over 20 hours, even 15 hours. Like, it's very hard to keep a horror game like intense and scary for
Yeah.
that amount of time. It's very hard to keep people engaged in a horror game, like versus any other games that are maybe more survival, more action oriented. It's very hard to keep people engaged fully and immersed in like being scared for that long. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I just don't think horror games should teeter over 15 hours.
You
Yeah,
guys
no,
have
I
seen the
agree.
rumors for RE9, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They
Well,
have,
rumors?
trust me.
Yeah,
Wait,
what
what
Like
rumors?
rumors?
What are you talking about?
Nah.
semi-open world and
Resident Evil 9, what's
jazz.
that?
Yeah,
Is
what
it gonna be like RE4 remake where it's like a semi-open, like just open areas? Or
Yeah, the rumor
Whoa.
is that's supposed to be the most ambitious title. For those that don't know, chat, I think everyone here probably knows, I would assume. The rumors is that RE9 is supposed to be the most ambitious entry of the Resident Evil franchise. There were rumors that was using some of the same like traits and engine like stuff from Dragon's Dogma 2, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of so there's a lot of hints that point towards it being a pretty big game in comparison to previous entries, which isn't too shocking because Village was kind of a semi-open world game when you think about it too. So I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah,
it's
I hear
I would say
ambition and
similar
I
to
just get anxious. I don't know.
RE6 was
Yeah.
ambitious.
Village
Yeah.
Village was walking in a straight line, but you could walk to the side and find some gold. That's not open
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Semi-open world and open world, I would say are two different things. I would say Village qualifies as like semi-open world.
Yeah, that's semi. That's not an open world game.
But yeah, so those are the rumors. So I would say I agree on a lot of things you guys were actually talking about. Silent Hill 2 remake. I do think there is a lot of pressure with this generation. Not talking down to this generation at all. I'm an old man. I totally understand that. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure from this generation of gamers to where like if a game isn't like 15, 20 plus hours, people feel like they're not getting their money's worth. And that's just the current generation. So you can't really blame Bloober Team and Konami for doing that when you look at the community as a whole. Like even Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil 3 remake, perfect example. Look how much shit that got because it, you know, it was a really, really short game. And I know there was cut content in Resident Evil 3 remake, but the OG time, like lengthwise, the OG Resident Evil 3 is not that much longer than the remake of Resident Evil 3 when you think about it. And that's a perfect example of like a community pretty upset about how short a game is in comparison to you know, not extending. So I don't like Konami and Bloober Team's decision for doing that with Silent Hill 2 remake. But that's just my opinion. Does anybody else have anything you want to say before we move on past this one?
No.
I think that's
Well,
it for me.
I guess to finish off what I was saying. So yeah, Silent Hill 2, I want to win. Again, I didn't play Condemn, so I like Silent Hill 2, but yeah. That's pretty much that. I think Silent Hill 2 is gonna win either way.
Yeah,
It's just
I mean,
a
it doesn't
bigger
matter what
game.
we say. Honestly, I easily see Silent Hill 2 remake probably make it pretty far. Honest, I would not be surprised if
It probably is.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it will lose to whatever wins. If you guys are looking at stream right now, the circles that I'm making on the bracket, it's probably delayed a little bit, but yeah. So like between like the Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 3, or Resident Evil 2002 remake, it's gonna lose to one of those in round 5. That's what I'm thinking is
Yeah.
gonna. Or right, no, actually, it's the round after that. Whatever. Either way, it's probably will make it pretty far. But yeah. Moving on. So let's look at the next matchup. We got the number 5 seed, Bloodborne. Actually, this is funny about this matchup because both of these games are really, really controversial in the polls for not being horror games. People believe that both of these games are not horror games, and I totally understand. Like both of these games lean very heavily towards like other genres like action for Resident Evil 5 and RPG for Bloodborne. Technically speaking, though, whether you guys agree with it or not, chat creators, both of these games are labeled as horror games. You got an RPG horror game and you have a action horror game. They're both horror games. That's why they're in this poll tournament. So don't be upset for me putting these games into these poll, and don't be upset at me for the community letting both of these games get this far into round 3. So that's on
I mean,
you
they're
guys.
action horror, so they're action horror, so I'd count them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now that being said, Bloodborne versus Resident Evil 5. I think landslide for me, it's got to be Bloodborne. I think Resident Evil, just because it's Resident Evil, will probably win, but Bloodborne, I think, should 100% be the one that wins this matchup. And I'll move on. That's all I got to say about that. Who's up next?
Bloodborne's an RPG, right?
Yeah. You love your
I guess-
Soulsborne
I guess-
games,
I
right?
guess- Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds terrifying. So that I'll give that I'll give that for the better horror game because I'm scared to death of playing that.
I'd agree with you with Blood. I mean, RE5, I think I said maybe in the first live stream, RE5 is my favorite. I actually freaking love RE5 and came out, I don't know, it's just a super special game. But Bloodborne is just a far, far better game. So I'd say Bloodborne.
Cool. MM, Rapid, and Conjured, what do you guys got?
I've never played Bloodborne. Like, period. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've never played.
Yeah, you should play it. I mean, well, it
On
depends.
PS
If you like Soulsborne games, I mean, if you don't like Soulsborne games,
I played well, I played what is it? The first Soulsborne first game, and then I
Yeah,
played Dark Souls 2
okay.
and Elden Ring, obviously, but yeah, I've never played Bloodborne.
I think you would like Bloodborne if you like those games, especially if you like Elden Ring. I think if you like Elden Ring, you like Bloodborne. Think like Elden Ring, but like a more Bram Stoker, H.P. Lovecraft style, I guess. It's probably the best
Yeah.
way to explain it.
Gothic.
Gothic.
Oh,
There
I
you
like
go.
the Gothic
Perfect.
style.
Cool. Conjured?
I'm picking Bloodborne. Bloodborne is like a more cultural phenomenon than RE5 is. And I think Bloodborne is going to win regardless of name. Because we have to remember, RE5 is still hated within the community. So I think
True.
Bloodborne is going to win.
I mean, Resident Evil 5 that beat Clock Tower 7129. I mean, it's doing decent, I guess, like, against but the games that it's gone up against, it hasn't really gone up against any
It's
like
not
big name.
Bloodborne,
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see. I hope Bloodborne wins. I need to see this Resident Evil like bias this get crushed at some point. I'm tired. I'm tired of the Resident. I know it's that's what my entire community is built upon. I totally get that, and I love all of you guys for watching this channel. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's time to get past the Resident Evil bias, though. Vote for other horror games. All right, enough said. Rapid, I think. Did you go already?
Nah. I'm actually a huge Souls fan. I played every single FromSoft game except Bloodborne. But
What?
I've seen the game from start to finish. I've seen
That's the game
100
you choose to
different-
skip out on?
How-
Really?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
horror content creator chooses to skip
And
out on the
believe it
one
or-
horror
believe-
Soulsborne game.
Believe it or not, I have had a PlayStation ever since the PlayStation 1. I've only ever owned PlayStation, so I don't know how it happened. Just never got around to it, but
But I'm excited.
yeah, I guess so. But I've seen hundreds of playthroughs from start to finish. So I got, the the whole story and everything. So I think on that basis alone, just the atmosphere, it wins just on that alone. But obviously the bias to me, Resident Evil 5. And I agree with podcast now. RE5, I will always openly defend this game. I love RE5. It is so, I'm not
it's a fun
defending it
game.
on I'm not defending it as a survival. I'm not saying, oh, it's one of the best Resident Evil games. It's just, it's so much fun, especially if you're playing with a friend. It is some of the most fun co-op gameplay I think I've ever played in any game, like in general.
It's my
so.
favorite. It's not the best, which I think is pretty, separate.
Jill,
I've always
it's
said I
me,
don't-
Chris.
Yeah, same with like RE6. I think it's a great game. I just don't think it's a great Resident Evil game. I think it's a mad Resident Evil game, but one part in that game, horror-wise, that does stand out to me is the part with the lickers towards the end, where you're like walking through the hallways and you have like all this like blood on the walls and you hear the lickers like crawling in the distance. Like if the game was more of that, I think that would have made it so much better. But
RE5 is one of my favorites, but only because it's like one of the most replayable Resident Evil.
And there's so much content. That's one thing a lot of people don't talk about. There's a lot of content in RE5, all the costumes and modes, and
Yeah.
it's worth it. But yeah, if we're going just off horror and atmosphere and all that, then definitely
It's not
Bloodborne.
horror. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Bloodborne, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one then. So we got I feel bad for this game because I think it's a phenomenal game, Limbo. I think it's one of the better like indie I
Yeah.
think it's indie survival horror platform. Survival horror, I think is the name of that subgenre. Fantastic game, amazing game. Definitely go play it, but it's going up against Silent Hill. I'm choosing Silent Hill. I'm not even gonna really say
Yeah.
anything. It's Silent Hill against Limbo. Silent Hill for me. Anybody else
Yeah.
wants to comment on this one?
I actually would
Silent
go.
Hill.
I'll go Limbo just to be opposite, and also I really like
Hey.
Limbo. And I'm not as diehard of Silent Hill as you guys are, so
Appreciate that though.
Oh, and it's
Respect
only
that.
$1 on Steam right now. Limbo, it's only
Oh,
$1 right now. It's on sale.
100%.
Oh, really? I might just buy
Yeah.
it.
I'm actually about
it was
to buy
such
it
a
too.
cultural
actually.
thing. Like at the time, it really like if this poll was 10 years ago, I think it would have done quite well.
You know
But
what? You have a point.
Facts.
it was big. It was really big, and then spun into Inside and all that. So yeah, I feel like it doesn't stand a chance, but it might do okay. Maybe like 70-30.
I will
this
say
vote.
Limbo did pretty good. I mean, look, it didn't just get here. It literally dominated its way here. I mean, it took out
Yeah.
Higurashi When They Cry, which I think is a phenomenal horror game. Phasmophobia, which also was like a big like meme type of game for the longest time. I feel like that was really popular for the longest time. Still kind of is. So it didn't just beat these games. It completely like annihilated them. But like you said, it's going up against Silent Hill now. So, and Silent Hill just took out Parasite Eve 90-10. So
Yes.
I don't have a lot of confidence in Limbo, but
Nah.
respect.
Regular guy versus gorilla.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, there's all sorts of darlings on the list, but like, you know, with time, they all go up against the big dogs eventually,
Yeah.
and you know, it is what it is. Silent Hill 1 is my favorite of the series currently. It's one of the most important horror games. I mean, I would say equally as important to Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 gets all the credit, but Silent Hill 1 was revolutionary when it came out.
Yeah.
Truly the first like mainstream terrifying game. Like, I mean, there's always been scary games. Resident Evil scared us as kids too. Hell, people were scared by Alone in the Dark in the early 90s. But Silent Hills, walking through a 3D nightmare was something really special. And yeah, I hope it goes far.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So does anybody else want to say anything about this before we move on?
No,
Okay.
Silent
so,
Hill.
all
That's
right.
my vote.
I just bought
Um,
Limbo though. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah,
I just did
yeah,
too.
yeah. I'm literally about to do it too. I didn't know it was only for $1. Let's go, Rapid Crafter.
yeah,
Look out.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm about to pick that up for $1. Hell yeah, it's definitely worth it. Real quick before we move on, podcast now. How are you doing, my dude? Because I know you said you got a dip.
I can do the next one. I'll leave after this next.
All right. I mean, just call me, like, just say, hey, I gotta go. You
Yeah.
know, no big deal. Okay, so looking at the next matchup, might be an interesting one. Resident Evil Code Veronica has been hanging in there. Didn't really have too much of competition though leading up to here and dominated every game it came across. But it's a number 2 seed, which is something I'm still really surprised about. The Resident Evil Code Veronica is a number 2 seed for the horror game, according to Metacritic. Whatever. I love it, but it's still kind of surprising. But it's taken on one of the better psychological horror games out there, in my opinion. Soma. One of those, probably the best, like one of those better, like walking horror simulators, I would say. So I think Soma's fantastic. I am a huge defender of Code Veronica. Mayo already knows I really like push it onto him. I can't.
I just did a video on it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I saw the video. I definitely loved it. I think. I mean, you didn't really say too many bad things about it. I think really one of your biggest gripes is probably the room themes and stuff.
The room themes, the visuals compared to the classic fixed, I found a little underwhelming. But I mean, as a survival horror game, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I love it.
For its time.
I'll be quick. Code Veronica's got my pick here. I love Soma, but Code Veronica has a special place in my heart, so I'm gonna go Code Veronica. And since we were just talking Mayo, what do you got here?
Yeah, I've Soma's a game that I have not been able to play yet, but I hear good things. But Code Veronica was pretty cool. Thank you for getting me to play it. Yeah, so rooting for Code Veronica here.
Cool. And podcast, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm with you. Soma's really, really good, but this is where it's like met its match. I think I would personally pick Code Veronica, and I feel that's definitely the way the poll will go. But yeah, I'm glad Soma made. I did not. I think maybe in round 1. I don't think I expected Soma to make it to round 3, so that's an achievement by itself.
Yeah. I will say in Soma's, or not in Soma's defense, it didn't really go up against any big dogs.
That's true. Yeah, it didn't have a tough road to get there.
I love Cold Fear, but a lot of people don't even know what Cold Fear is. And then Bendy and the Ink Machine, a lot of people are really tired of the mascot, or not mascot, but like that kind of like cartoonish, like horror game vibe. A lot of people are tired of that genre.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can I retract my vote? I want to go for Soma because
Why?
Okay, thinking about it more, I did enjoy Code Veronica, but it's also the origin of Resident Evil jumping the shark into the supernatural, which I strongly dislike.
Mhm.
And and there's already so much Resident Evil success in this bracket. So if a Resident Evil can fall in this round, I'll vote for this one to fall over the others.
Over Village?
Oh no, I already no. Oh man, I forgot that existed. Get them both out of here.
All right. What do you got? Let's go to Rapid Crafter next.
Never played Soma, but same thing. Seen a ton of playthroughs and everything over the years. So I'd give it to that. Code Veronica, I am probably one of the more critical Code Veronica haters. Not that I hate Code Veronica. I actually love Code Veronica. I grew up with it. Still got my original copy and everything. But when I replayed it again, just being just so much older now and just getting it fresh in my mind, I have so many problems with it. It's like I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with that game. I love it on so many levels. I love a lot of the character designs and just a lot of the atmosphere. But kind of like what Mayo said, it gets a little over the top. It gets a little crazy. There's a lot of gameplay decisions I don't agree with. Some of the environments look a little washed out and just not as interesting as the original trilogy. I think pretty much all the boss fights in the game are god awful. The guns don't. I can go down a whole list. So I'm critical of that game. Not that I dislike it, but
yeah.
For going better horror game, definitely Soma for sure.
You broke my heart when you said that about the boss fights, because that's actually one of my favorite parts about that game.
Wow,
I love the boss fights in it. Actually,
yeah.
You like fighting the tyrant on the plane?
I do.
Really?
I do. I listen. Maybe I just love causing myself torture or whatever. But like, and I will say, I love bragging about this in front of you guys every single time we talk about Code Veronica. But your boy did a knife only run of it, so the bosses can't be that difficult. I did die over, like 150 times, but details. But no,
Yeah.
I love
I
the
only
boss
died 150 times.
I absolutely love Code Veronica. So yeah, and the boss fights were some of my favorite parts. I love the boss themes, obviously. The save room theme is one of the best save room themes in my opinion. I think the only save room theme.
The save room theme is one of my favorites.
I think the only save room theme I like maybe slightly better is the Resident Evil 2 OG theme. And then, Chris Redfield's my favorite character. Claire Redfield's another big person I love, and I love seeing the Redfield siblings eventually reunite. I know they don't get to do much in the game, but they still get that interaction, something that we haven't gotten in other games. I love the lore it does add to the Resident Evil franchise. I know it does. You're right. It does lean more towards that supernatural route, but I don't think it leans as much towards it as later entries. You're right. It does set like the path for it, but it doesn't. I don't think it oversteps it. I don't think it steps too far into it. I think it's like right there where it should be. And then I love the puzzles. I love it when my Resident Evil games have a lot of backtracking. My favorite one's the Ashford family portrait puzzle where you have to.
I was about to say.
Oh yeah.
Puzzle. Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic puzzle. So that's one of my favorite puzzles. Actually, it is my favorite puzzle in the entire franchise. So yeah, there's a lot of things I like. So I mean, I'm a huge defender of it, but I 100% see all the issues with it too. I'm not stupid. I see all the issues. I see the difficulty spikes. I see like some of the what's it called, soft lock? I forgot the term for it. Whatever you like lock yourself out
Yeah,
because you
soft
end up
lock.
in a-
Soft lock.
soft lock.
With
Okay,
the
yeah.
random character switches.
Yeah, the soft lock situation's a pain in the ass, especially your first time playing through it. So yeah, absolutely, I see all the issues with the game, but it still has a soft spot in my heart. So I can't knock it for the stuff when I love so much more about it. So that's my
And the
little rant.
backtracking. I just had to add salt to the wound. Just
I
don't
like the backtracking. I mean, that's Resident Evil, man. That's survival horror for you.
Yeah, but not the way Code Veronica did it. There was a few sections where it felt a little too bloated and
You
dragged
spend
out.
like almost every inch of your like time in this backtracking in Spencer Mansion for the most part. How many times do you have to get this key and then go back to the like a different section in the mansion that you already been to before? Like you backtrack a lot in the Spencer Mansion.
Yeah, but the thing with RE1 is like there's things that happen.
The backtracking, I think it's just how it was done.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Like RE1, there were things in between. Like for example, the hunters, right? When you'd come back to the mansion, the hunters would chase you and follow you in, and now you had to deal with those. Like there was something new, even if it was minor in between.
Yeah. You
Code
got that with
Veronica
the
didn't
banner
really do that.
snatches. The banner snatches replace the zombies whenever you get to a certain point in the game as Claire. We
yeah,
can
but they
argue
weren't-
about it all day long, but
I think it's more that the Spencer Mansion is a compact map, and Code Veronica, the whole first half of the game is across like 6 or 7 maps,
Yeah.
in places that have 3 to 4 to 5 different levels in each one, and so you're across a much larger area of backtracking, and they didn't update the map in a way to make that really plausible, I guess, because like I said in the video,
fair.
it should have had a Silent Hill style map that made a mark of important things that you had seen, because there's no clue on the map as to where you saw that thing from 2 hours ago, and it's a lot easier to get lost in your backtracking because of the size, and the map doesn't help you out.
yeah, and that's a big reason why, you know, in my opinion, Code Veronica is probably the hardest Resident Evil game of the
Could
entire
be, franchise.
in
In that term.
And
that
the
aspect,
boss fights, the
could
soft
be.
locks, yeah, absolutely. So the difficulty spikes. So no, I get it. I agree with a lot of things you guys are saying. Again, I'm biased. I love that game. So what can I say?
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's gonna lose, but that's okay.
Hey, it's not gonna lose. I mean, have you met the Resident Evil community that these polls are being posted on? Anybody else want to comment on this one? We good.
I think I'm picking Soma.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Code
gonna pick
Veronica.
Code Veronica.
So was it me, MM, and podcast that went Code Veronica, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else went Soma. All right.
Yeah.
I know my my
That's a
2
split.
favorite content creators now. Podcast MM. You guys stick together, boys.
I think that's our first split vote of the night.
It
Right?
is.
We
Yeah,
did.
it's
Yeah,
interesting.
it
I liked
is.
it. All right,
Cool.
cool. I respect it. All right, moving on to the next matchup. We got the Evil Within taking on Fear, the first of both franchises. Both franchises that are very short-lived. 3 entries in Fear, 2 entries in the Evil Within, and you have the first game of both taking on each other. So both of these games did not have, well, specifically Evil Within had one hell of a road to get here. I mean, it took out Outlast, then it took out Alan Wake 2, and now it's going up against Fear. So respect to Evil Within. I'm actually really shocked to see Evil Within here over Alan Wake 2. I mean,
I am devastated.
Same.
right?
I am very shocked.
I for 2 reasons. One, I love Alan Wake 2. I think Alan Wake 2 was one of my favorite like modern survival horror games. I think it's fantastic. But the other point is that also Alan Wake 2 should have had that recency bias going with it. The Evil Within franchise has been dead since 2017. So 2017. So I'm really
Wait a
shocked
minute,
about
what-
that.
Wasn't this my call last time?
It was, yeah. I think this was this your dark horse?
This was my dark horse.
Yeah, it
Oh my
was. I think.
God.
I think it was. I said, yeah.
I think it was, and I'm actually surprised. So props to you if that's true. Actually, Condor, what was your dark horse? Let's get the refresher on the dark horses. I know
My
mine
dark
was
horse?
yeah. I think yours was it The Last of Us?
Yeah, mine's was The Last of Us. Yeah.
All right, and then yours, Mayo, you said yours was The Evil Within. That sounds
I don't
right.
remember what I called as my dark horse, but I know I called this match.
Yeah, you did. I remember you saying, and I thought you were crazy. Apparently, I was wrong. So yeah. I guess I'll go real quick, and then we'll pass it over to you guys. So I wanted Alan Wake 2 to be here. Totally understand that Evil Within's here, but Evil Within versus Fear, I 100% go with Evil Within. It's a fantastic game. I am devastated about Tango Gameworks shutting down. Hopefully Hi-Fi Rush 2 makes some money for, I forgot the studio that picked it up, but hopefully it makes them money, so that way, you know, they'll be like, all right, well, let's grab more of Tango Gameworks IPs and get Evil Within over here. Doubt it, but, you know, could happen. So yeah, I'm rooting for Evil Within 100%. So let's go Evil Within. Let's go to Mayo next.
Fear is one of my favorite games. Loved it. Yeah, I'm definitely going Fear over this. I haven't played all of Evil Within. I played a few hours of it like a long time ago. I need to get back to it, but you know what I saw was cool. But Fear has got a special place in my heart, so I'm pulling for it, and I think it's gonna win this one.
Okay, well,
I think Fear is a strong game to make it.
nice.
I think Fear beats Evil Within, and then next round I think it beats either Soma or Code Veronica.
And you have a lot of faith in Fear. I mean, Fear 2 did
I do.
pull a lot of upsets, so maybe Fear can pull a lot of upsets too.
I mean, people still make videos on the brilliance of Fear now, right? So it's a strong title.
Like I said,
Sure.
I would normally, again, call you crazy, but first off, you proved me wrong with Alan Wake 2 versus the Evil Within, and then secondly, I've seen what Fear 2 can do. So if Fear 2 can do this, I
Yeah.
would not be surprised if Fear can pull up some
Yeah,
upsets.
if Fear 2 can do what it's doing, Fear 1 is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I feel that. Let's go to podcast. What do you got?
It's got it in the name.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It's called Fear.
Fear it. All right, what do you got, podcast?
So I'll say I'll agree with you. I mean, Alan Wake 2 should be here. Okay, I'm just gonna say that. And you know, looking where Evil Within had to go through, I kind of need to, even though it took out my game of the year when Alan Wake 2 came out. I think Evil Within has to kind of win this. I think it's a better game than Fear. If it literally goes head to head like it is now, it should be Evil Within. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 should have made it. And I gotta go. But may I just say, I'm rooting for. If I had to do this dark horse thing, I'm going for Alan Wake 1 towards the bottom there.
Oh,
I think it's got a path. I think it's got a path.
Good
Actually,
to
it doesn't
know.
because it's gonna lose to I think Dead Space or Resident Evil 7. But it would be a dark horse for me.
Nice. Yeah, I hate that game right now because it took out Doki Doki Literature Club, but it's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's another one. That's another one. I'm with you. You know, me and you for Doki Doki. You know?
Best friends. Okay, well, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. And yeah, so Doctor's pick, Alan Wake. See you on the
There
screen.
you go. Thanks for having me, and thanks
For sure.
guys for the chat.
Oh, do you want to
Yeah,
tell
take it
everybody where
easy,
to find you
podcast.
before you take
Take
off
a
real
good
quick?
one.
If you want to
What's
tell
up?
people if you want to tell everybody
Oh,
where
yeah.
to find you
Yeah.
before you take
I
off.
have too many channels, so I have 3 in all. Podcast Now Plus, Back to the Past. But you know, Podcast Now is good enough. The logo there, you see. And I cover every game under the sun. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, appreciate it. Talk to you guys
Pleasure, man.
next time.
For sure, man. Have a good night.
Bye. Cool. So were we Evil Within versus Fear? Does anybody else have anything to say about it? I don't know where we
Got quite a bit to say here.
Oh,
Alan
no.
Wake 2 is let me sit up for this one. Alan Wake 2 is one of my favorite horror games of all time.
Let's go, Rapid. That's what I wanted to hear. So actually,
It's-
Alan Wake 2 came out same year as Resident Evil 4 remake, right?
Oh yeah, it
2023?
did.
And Alan Wake 2
Yeah.
was my game of the year that year, by the way. So that tells you how much I like Alan Wake 2. I liked it better than Resident Evil 4 remake. Just throwing that out there. All right, continue. Also, Herald of
20
Darkness, iconic. All right, continue. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No, 2023 was amazing. Dude, Dead Space is
Oh, my
man,
God.
that year. Ooh, we had
Year
such, we had
was-
such a good year that year.
Oh, we were
Dude,
spoiled as hell.
2024 fucking sucked after 2023.
Yeah.
Facts. Absolutely.
We're back. 2025 is pretty good. But God, that was a bad year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some good stuff coming out in 2025 for sure. I'm hyped about. So Silent Hill
Yeah,
F is
same.
definitely happening. But continue, Rabbit. Sorry, my bad.
I'm excited for that. No, you're good. Yeah, Alan Wake 2, one of my favorite horror games of all time. Again, I got a thing with horror games that are just too long, you know. So that was one of my things. But the thing with Alan Wake 2, and that's what makes it difficult, is the story was so good from start to finish. So it's like even though the game was longer than I wanted it to be, it just the story kept me hooked. So you know I give it that. But I think gameplay wise, Evil Within is miles better. So I'm not too surprised it won in that way, and that would have been my vote. But I guess I mean I've never played Fear, so I guess you know my bias would say Evil Within. But I just think Evil Within, I mean, same thing. It's got like so many issues, but it's like the art style, the gameplay, the boss fights, the atmosphere, the mood, just all of that to me like carries like really hard despite like its shortcomings. So
Okay.
I'd have to go Evil Within here.
Okay. And I know we were missing a couple of people. and Condra, did you guys chime in yet?
No. I was waiting to hear what I had to say. I don't know if I'm gonna make anybody upset with this statement, but I didn't like the Evil. I didn't like it. I played it, and I don't know. It was just something. It just wasn't for me. I don't know what it was. The gameplay was okay. The story was okay. It's just one of those games where I played it and I was like, well, all right. And I didn't really know what to go from there. I played Fear and I love Fear. So in my opinion, it's gonna be Fear.
Sounds good, dude. Yeah, definitely controversial. Saying that you're not a fan of the Evil Within. So, respected though. I love controversial opinions. That's why Mayo's like a regular here now. So let's go to Conjure What do you got, dude?
I'm in that same boat, to be honest. I never, the Evil Within never resonated to me for some reason. Maybe because it's trying too hard to be RE4. I think it's that, but Fear, it's a whole different experience. I love Fear, way more than the Evil Within, and plus I played the Evil Within on the PS3 day, so I had to play on that freaking console on like 15 FPS. It was horrible, so I didn't have like a good experience.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's part of the reason it didn't click for me.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Evil Within was on the PlayStation 3. I don't know why I thought it was like a 360 exclusive before it like got ported later. I must be going crazy. All right, cool. Mayo, did you comment on this one? I think you did. I think you said Fear is like your favorite, one of your favorite games of all time, right?
Fear all the way. Fear's taking this round and it's taking the next one.
Hey, go Fear. I disagree, but go. I root for unpredictable outcomes. So just want to say a quick congratulations to Jonathan Cook for being a member for 10 months. Appreciate it, dude. Ruben, read my comments, bruh. Go Bucks. Absolutely. I'm a Bucks fan, by the way, if you guys care about football. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, which I am really shocked this game made it this far. I mean, it's one of the best survival horror games ever created, so respect. But I just thought it was so under the radar that I wouldn't make it this far. But here it is. I mean, had an easy road, but you know, details. Versus Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Wow. Does anybody already have their answer ready on this one?
Amnesia.
Yeah.
Amnesia.
All right.
Yeah. Auto.
It's a wash. I'm sorry.
Damn, really? Have you played Eternal Darkness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn. You guys are killing me.
You trying to get me? You trying to get me?
I'm gonna go cry in a corner now. All right.
That's funny. That's it. Yeah.
It's like, yeah. and wow. They call me an asshole.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I'll talk next, just because apparently a couple people in here really, you know, have no respect for the game that is called Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. You know, one of the best sanity meters, better than Dark Descent's sanity meter, I might add, just throwing that out there. But yeah, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem, I think it was a massive like under the radar, underappreciated survival horror game that I think is phenomenal. I've been playing it a lot recently because I want to do videos on it soon. I just haven't had time. And I love a lot of things about this game. First off, the combat. Okay, the combat's not the greatest. I'll throw that out there. But I think one of the coolest things that it does is that it creates like a really, really intense like atmosphere, regardless of the different locations that you end up in. And then with the sanity meter attached to it, it just really like kind of like challenges you, the player, instead of like the character, like puts not just the character in this like tense and freaky situation, but the player in these tense and freaky situations. For those who don't know, the sanity meter in that game, it pretty much like after it gets to a certain point, it'll start like playing tricks on the player. So like it'll have like roaches crawl on the screen, or it'll turn off the TV, which if you're playing dark, like back then if you were playing like, you know, in a dark room, you're playing your game, the TV just shuts off. That's freaky as hell. The volume could turn down. It'll tease a sequel that will never come. It does some weird shit, and it's really, really cool. I really love it.
Quicksand floor.
What was it? Oh yeah,
It'll
quicksand floor.
It'll sink the player into
Yeah.
the floor sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does all kinds of crazy shit. I still don't know what I'm going with. I said all the good things about Xanadu's Requiem, but I mean, it is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I'm going to go with Eternal Darkness because I feel like a lot of people here are probably going to go the other way. But honestly, both of these games are pretty close to each other on my rankings. So I can go either way. Anybody else want to chime in on this one? You got anything, Conjured?
Nah, just Amnesia.
Yeah, figures. Breaking my heart. What about you, Rapid?
Yeah, Amnesia,
Fair.
100%.
Mayo, you want to?
I'm not a fan of the original Amnesia, and I played a little bit of Eternal Darkness back in the day. I thought it was cool, and I know how much people like it. So I'm gonna vote for Eternal Darkness in this one. I got your back.
Hey, Mayo, let's go. See, I never said you were an asshole. I think you're a good person.
Oh yeah, when I'm on your side, sure.
We'll talk later. All right, moving. Let's go to the next matchup. We got Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the OG, by the way, guys. This is the only OG Resident Evil game still still in the tournament, just for the record. So Resident Evil 3 Nemesis taking on, I think that's Revelations 1. Let me hover over it because it gets cut. Yeah, okay. So Resident Evil 3 Nemesis taking on Resident Evil Revelations. Do we think the numbered entry will win, or do we think the recency bias, I guess, not really recency bias, but you know what I mean, will take over? What do you guys got here?
I'll jump in. This is my favorite classic Resident Evil of the original trilogy. Resident Evil 3 is my favorite. Not surprising it's come this far. It just knocked out Alien Isolation, so it's already a winner in my book. So I predict that it will win this round, and it'll win the next one. And God, I mean, I would be happy if it took the whole tournament.
Yeah, it has a pretty solid road, actually. I mean, so if it wins here, it goes up against either Amnesia: Dark Descent or Eternal Darkness. Probably gonna be either one of those games. Then it goes up against probably either Code Veronica or Evil Within or Fear. Probably gonna win that. So it's got its road all the way to the semifinals, and I'm not gonna go that far and try to figure things out. But yeah, it should make it all the way to the semifinals at this point. With it taking out Alien Isolation, it set up itself to make it pretty far in this tournament.
And decisively 65-35 as well.
Oh yeah,
Like,
a lot.
That's big victory.
I will say the comment section of this poll, for some reason, everybody was hating our RE3 in this comment section for this poll. For some reason, they thought Alien Isolation should have swept it for sure. Should have dominated it.
Well, thank you guys for doing the right thing.
All right. What do you got, Fabricrafter? What do you got? RE3 Nemesis versus Revelation.
I am probably one of the biggest Revelations 1 defenders. I've said numerous times, it's not a perfect game, but just there's so much about it that I love. I actually love the boss fights, the atmosphere, all there's so much about that game that I love and appreciate. I actually love it more than Rev 2. Rev 2 has grown on me. I know this is a different game. Rev 2 has grown on me, but when I first played it, the first couple times, it just felt like a Last of Us clone, which it was. I mean, you had the crafting the bottles and the sneaking and the partner system. So at the time, I'm like, that's not really my Resident Evil. You know, I kind of like the first one more, that more isolated, creepy feel. So I love Rev 1, but come on, man. RE3 Nemesis, like that clears. Like there's no, it clears.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I don't
RE3
think
Nemesis
Revelations
clears.
has a chance at all. I think RE3 Nemesis is 100% going to stomp on it. Real quick before we move on, just want to say thank you for the $2 super chat, Tony Sonic again. Nemesis versus Subject Delta from BioShock. Who wins? Honestly, I don't know much about BioShock. I played it, but I don't know much about who does anyone know who Subject Delta is? That's not like Adam at the end, right? I don't know who it is.
I don't
No clue.
remember.
Yeah,
been a
I don't
while.
know. I'm just gonna go Nemesis because Nemesis. He's Nemesis.
Same.
But yeah, so Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, Revelations. Something you said I wanted to comment on, and I totally forgot what you were. Oh yeah, I don't understand the whole point of having a partner in Revelations 1 when it's not co-op. Am I like stupid for thinking that? Like the entire game you're constantly with a partner, but it's not co-op. Like why? Why is that a thing?
That's
I
I think
got
my
that
favorite.
either.
It's
Yeah,
the
my
same
favorite
for
sections.
Rev
Oh,
2.
sorry. Yeah, my favorite sections in Rev 1 was like when you would like be separated from your partner, like towards the end, and like it was just you. Like I think those are my favorite sections. That should have been the whole game, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
where it's
but even
just
then,
you.
the only reason why you were separated is because like your partner was like doing like the other side of like the first thing that comes to mind is what like when the room's like filling up with water and Parker's like on one side doing like the wheel or whatever, the puzzle thing, and then you have to go to the other side as Jill. That's the only part I can really think of where you're really by yourself at all. Like you're really not by yourself that much in Revelations. So it's like why is it not co-op if that's the case?
I've always had a theory that Rev 1 was supposed to have co-op because I mean you think back to those early trailers and how they were so different from the final game.
Yeah.
I don't know, something. Yeah, if you play the game again, you'll kind of see it. Like it's like it feels like they were supposed to have co-op, but they just didn't. So
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, RE3
Yeah.
Nemesis for me.
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
R3 Nemesis is an easy one for me. So we got Maya, we got me, we got Rapid. I think you already answered, did you?
Yep.
Okay.
RE3.
Figures and Conjure Line.
Oh, RE3 by Sleep only because Rev, everything outside of like Jill and Chris, I hated so freaking much. Yeah, RE3 Nemesis.
Cool. All right, Battle of the Action horror games coming up. We got Resident Evil 4. This is the remake, by the way. Resident Evil 4 remake. Versus The Last of Us. The Last of Us. It's part 1. You guys. So this is a really, really big matchup. And if I remember correctly, our boy here, Conjure Lion, said The Last of Us is his pick for the dark horse. In order for you to be right, Conjure Lion, it has to win here. I mean,
I know my answer. I already have my answer for this.
All right, so let's go to you first. Then let's do it. What do you got?
So these two games are basically neck to neck for me when it comes to the gameplay. So I have to go to like the next big thing, and what do I feel about the games overall? People got to remember The Last of Us did had a freaking amazing multiplayer mode. I feel like it has more content than Resident Evil 4 remake, aside from like separate ways. But The Last of Us has a better story in my opinion, better multiplayer, like I said earlier. That's pretty much it, really. So I'm picking The Last of Us over RE4 remake.
Okay, cool. It's a big. Now, do you think it's gonna? So do you on it? Because I know this was your pick. It's the dark horse. So do you believe it's actually going to, win against Resident Evil 4, or do you think the Resident Evil community is gonna take over? And
I think RE4 is gonna win because of the bias.
Yeah.
But I do feel like The Last of Us deserves it more than RE4 remake.
Okay.
I'm gonna add on to that. I can actually see that perspective. I would actually agree. Last of Us has more content, but I think RE4 is way like miles more replayable. Because like I love Last of Us, but man, the cutscenes, the slow like that's just not. That's why like I have a problem with like RE7 and Village, like the beginning sections. How like every time you want to replay those games, you got to go through the slow walking, the talking. I'm not a big fan of that. So yeah, Last of Us more content, but I don't think it's as replayable as RE4.
Yeah.
But even just throwing that aside, I'm biased with RE4 remake. I mean, OG RE4 is my favorite Resident Evil game of all time. RE4 remake is like very close to that. So I mean, I want to. My bias side says RE4 sweeps, but if I'm being fair, I mean, Last of Us is a revolutionary game. You know, it changed so many things. So yeah, this is. I mean, for me, it's not a tough one. I mean, RE4 for me, but yeah, I get what Conjure's saying. I
No,
can see why you would put it above RE4.
Honestly, man, I want to say RE4 because I love the remake and I love the OG. The only thing that I gotta say about The Last of Us that wants me to give The Last of Us the edge is the multiplayer. The Last of Us has
It's such
some
an
of the
amazing
Yeah.
MP.
It's got
it has
factions,
those.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
loved it.
The
It was
multiplayer
so
is
good. It
It
was so
was. It
good.
was. It was a damn shame that Naughty Dog didn't bring it back for part 1, like the
yeah.
remake. But yeah,
Yeah, like they were working on it for years and they were like, yeah,
yeah, they're like, yeah, you guys don't
I'm
need
like,
it.
what? What?
I
Bro,
know.
the factions hands down is like I don't like that. That's the only thing that's really keeping me from being like, oh, like obviously I'm biased. You know, I could just say Resident Evil 4, but The Last of Us had a great story and the multiplayer was phenomenal. And I remember just playing that for hours and hours and hours. So this is one of those things where I can't make a decision. I'm stuck on this.
Oh
I can't
no.
do it. I can't bring my heart to do it because I love Resident Evil 4, but damn, I want to be fair. Last of
That
Us was so much fun.
multiplayer mode really like gives it the edge because
Yeah.
it's, man, I feel bad for
Damn,
people that it was
oof.
so good. If you didn't play it, man,
Oh yeah, factions was pretty good. I'll give it that. I'll chime in next then. Really what it comes down to me, so what game do I have more fun playing? Do I like play more? Do I find myself like playing for years to come? I know The Last of Us Factions multiplayer was phenomenal. It was fantastic. It was great. I'm pissed off that Naughty Dog didn't bring it back for the remake, despite teasing us. Like, I'm pretty sure they like posted like screenshots like multiple times of the game and or like the factions mode and stuff. And I was really, really looking forward to it. That being said, Resident Evil 4 remake, it's only been out for what, 2 years now. I've played that game a lot. And I just keep playing, and it's so addicting, mainly because the parry system, the combat system of the remake, it just really just makes me feel like a true badass replaying it constantly over and over and over again. And what it comes down to, I mean, factions does help the gameplay side of The Last of Us, but what it really comes down to is which game do I care about the game that like I have more fun, that I play more, or do I care more about like the story and the multiplayer? And as someone that just cares more about single player experiences that keep bring me back over and over and over again, I gotta go with Resident Evil 4 remake. I know, boring answer, but well, it is what it is. I'll go Resident Evil 4 remake. So
I guess that leaves me.
Yeah, Mayo, you up?
I mean, this is a battle of titans again. These are
Yeah.
two games that changed the industry for better or for worse. I would say The Last of Us had a negative effect on things, but the game itself, I think, is really good. But I mean, RE4, just that when that game came out, it was massively important. Gave us Dead Space, gave us so much. And the remake just, I think it's such an evolution of the gameplay mechanics. You said that yourself, the parry, the parry being a very strong option, but also a resource-based option. It's not infinite. Your knife breaks, especially on professional. So it's like, if you just go around parrying everything, say goodbye to your knife. And if you don't have a knife anymore, you can't get the insta-kills on the transformations, and you got to deal with the mutations. And there's just, they added so many great decisions to make. Instead of the original. I mean, the original is amazing. It's a classic, but it is just point and shoot and get the headshots done and run in and do the roundhouse kick, with a single TMP round. But I mean, the way that they balanced headshot staggers to be RNG, the rebalancing of the guns, more focus on on equipment for crowd control, enemies flanking you, the parry system, knives breaking. It's just so far beyond what the original did in terms of gameplay that I prefer it to the original. There are things about the original's tone and humor and art style that I do prefer in the original, but gameplay wise, it's just so good. And even the semi-open sections on the lake really showed you what you could do with this series, having optional areas, which was great. So Yeah, I hope RE4 takes it. It's in my top 5 Resident Evil games of all time.
Nice. Me too.
But you know, if The Last of Us takes it, you know, respect to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I respect that.
I mean, not
these
respect to The
games.
Last of Us 2. The Last of Us also.
Well, The Last of Us 2 got
Yeah.
eliminated by Fear 2, so that The Last of Us 2 obviously was not like a popular game to the community at all. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So we're down to the last 3 matchups, so we're almost done, friends. Thank you for bearing with me, chat, creators. Thank you for bearing with me. We're almost done. So we're going to look at another Juggernaut matchup that I think is a pretty good matchup. It's Dead Space Remake versus Dino Crisis. Dead Space Remake literally brutalized Darkwood, RIP Darkwood, and it also brutalized
Wow.
Daymare. So Dead Space Remake has not been taking any prisoners. It's been holding, it's been showing no mercy against the games it's been going up against. That being said, this is the first like non-indie horror game that's going up against, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But Dino Crisis has also been kind of dominating the competition too. Not as good as Dead Space, but I mean, it took out Dead by Daylight, which I didn't expect. I thought Dead by Daylight had like a really committed fan base. Apparently not. And then it took out Corpse Party, which that's a little more expected. But yeah, so Dead Space Remake, sci-fi horror game, fantastic game versus a survival horror game, dinosaurs instead of zombies. This is a really good matchup. I like this matchup. Just because there's nothing like it right now. Actually, I guess there's nothing like either of them. But just for me personally, I've been really, really wanting a new dinosaur horror game. For some reason, dinosaur horror games is just not a thing anymore. People just do not make good dinosaur horror games. Dinosaurs are fucking scary. Make a scary dinosaur horror game, please. But for that reason, Dino Crisis is one of the only games that out there that has done that and successfully. The first one I prefer over the second game because the second game leans more towards action horror, whereas the first game was definitely much more survival horror. So I'm going to go with Dino Crisis on this one. And I know that's probably the unpopular opinion. And I do know Dead Space Remake is 100% going to win. But I'm going to go Dino Crisis. So there's my pick. Who's up next?
Dead Space.
Dead Space Remake?
Yes. I think it's going to be Dino Crisis, but the Dead Space, in my opinion, one of the best remakes in the horror genre. Like, it's really good. I do like Dino Crisis, but I don't know. Dead Space just has that special place in my heart.
I feel that. Honestly, if there was more dinosaur horror games out there, I probably would have chose Dead Space. Just, again, I'm not getting my dinosaur horror games, and Dino Crisis is the only game out there that can get my dinosaur horror game. So
I respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you got? Let's go to Conjured.
I still haven't played Dead Space Remake. I played the
Damn.
original, but not the remake, so I can't really answer too much, except for Dino Crisis. I wasn't too much of a fan of Gray Facility Simulator. So I don't really know. I don't know. Based on OG
Wow.
though, Dead Space, I would say OG Dead Space over Dino Crisis. DC2 is different though. I like DC2 more than the first.
Same.
But when it comes to the first, I'm choosing just basing it off the original Dead Space, and I've heard that people like the remake more.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going for Dead Space.
You know, Dead Space. You haven't played Dead Space Remake?
No, not remake. No,
It's great. It's on Game Pass, I think.
I
Or it
have it
used to
too.
be.
Yeah, I have it. I own it.
If you prefer Dead Space 2 to Dead Space 1, you're gonna like the remake because
Oh, then for sure.
there's a lot more emphasis on the variety of your weapons than there is the original Dead Space. The alt fire modes are really good. The line gun is fucking ridiculous. Like if you're into Dead Space 2 because of its action and its arsenal, you're gonna like the remake a lot.
TMI, James. I
definitely
saw that in the chat.
play it, yeah.
TMI, dude.
And it's got the kinesis from Dead Space 2, but in the Dead Space 1 ship. So you're throwing pipes and ripping off demon limbs and stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
Great
Dead
control.
Space. So
Very good
if I'm looking the OG trilogy, Dead Space 2 is my favorite. However, the remake of Dead Space 1, I like better than Dead Space 2.
control. Interesting.
So that's just me.
But I think Dead Space will take it. I only played the demo of Dino Crisis. Don't kill me. It's one of those games I'd like to really get to someday. But what I played in the demo was cool. It just passed me by in its time.
Yeah, I played
But I know people love it. So I mean, it looks like it's a strong game. Who knows who will take it? But I think Dead Space has the edge here.
Maybe I'm getting it backwards, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this last stream. Dino Crisis demo was on the Resident Evil 3 PlayStation.
That's right.
Right?
Resident
Okay.
Evil 3.
Is that how you played it? I'm guessing.
That's how I played it. Yeah.
All right. That's what I figured. All right. Nice.
You know, much like how the first Britney Spears album came with a single of the new NSYNC, and that's how they pushed that album, and she got really mad. Same thing, basically, right?
Yeah. No, I totally knew that. Respect. Makes sense.
You didn't know that when Britney Spears debut
I did not know
album,
that.
when it came out, it was packaged with a promotional single for the new NSYNC song, and that's how the studio was trying to push the sales. And Britney was like upset about it because she was trying to
I don't blame her.
be an artist on her own without having to be packaged with someone else. I think that happened. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I never knew that. The more you know.
Mm.
Look at that, chat. You are.
I don't know.
getting
I don't know
inside
how many
information.
people. I don't know how many people bought RE3 because of the Dino Crisis.
No,
demo, though.
I mean, yeah, people bought RE3 because it was the first two games were
Yeah, because it was
masterpieces.
RE3.
Yeah. Who else has a comment on this yet? I think we heard
Me.
Conjure. We heard. Okay, what do you got?
But I'm kind of in the same boat. Throw me to the dogs, but I have not played. I own Dino Crisis 1 and 2 on GOG. I bought them, but I haven't played them yet, so I'll get to them eventually. But yeah, so my vote would go to Dead Space Remake. To me, I'm kind of in the same realm as Conjured. I think it's one of the better, at least personally, one of my favorite survival horror remakes, or just horror remakes in general. It's a lot like RE1 remake to me, where they basically just took the original game and just improved on it in every way possible. You know, the gameplay system, the graphics, the story, the inclusion of Isaac's voice acting. Yeah, there's just so much about it that I love. So, and I didn't play Dino Crisis, so yeah, Dead Space Remake.
Nice. Chat's getting a little crazy. I don't know what's going on there. I haven't been paying attention to it. Be nice in there, people. Don't hate on anybody, please. Moving on. Next matchup. So we got Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which it is a damn crime that this game has made it this far. I'm just gonna say right now. The Silent Hill name's obviously carrying this game 100%. But yeah, Silent Hill Shattered Memories taking on Alan Wake. I've been rooting against Alan Wake literally since the first round. Tormented Souls 100% should it be Alan Wake. Doki Doki Literature Club 100% should it be Alan Wake.
What the fuck? What beat? Excuse me?
Yeah, Tormented Souls and Doki Doki Literature Club got beat by Alan Wake the first game.
Oh my god.
Alan Wake 80-20 over Tormented Souls.
Yeah.
There's no justice in this world.
That's rigged.
It's a ridiculous. Tormented Souls, for the record, is one of my favorite survival horror games ever. I love that game. It's a fantastic game. That being said, Alan Wake against Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I think I'm finally, and the funny thing is, I'm about to say this, but I know it's actually finally gonna lose. But this is the time where I'm gonna say, hey, Alan Wake, I think should actually beat Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I 100% think Alan Wake should beat this. System Shock 2 should be here, for the record. It's not, but
So should Nightmare Creatures.
That's that reimagining Silent Hill, right, of 1.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm picking
that's
Alan
a
Wake.
very generous. That's a very generous way to put it.
Yeah, it kind. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that does want to give this game a chance. I like. Don't get me wrong. I like what Silent Hill Shattered Memories did, sort of, just not for a Silent Hill game, not for the Silent Hill characters that we knew. You know, if that makes
It's not
any
a Silent
sense.
Hill game.
Exactly. It shouldn't be. There's no reason why this should have been a Silent Hill game. It should have been just a different game. So anyways, for that record, on that note, I am actually finally going to root for Alan Wake, despite me hating Alan Wake right now for taking out both Doki Doki Literature Club and Tormented Souls, two iconic horror games, by the way. I am going to root for Alan Wake this time to take out Silent Hill Shattered Memories, because I don't think Silent Hill Shattered Memories should have made it this far. But, like I said, I know damn well that now that I'm rooting for Alan Wake, it's actually probably going to lose to Silent Hill Shattered Memories just because of the Silent Hill name. But I'm just going to throw that out there. That's all I gotta say about that one. What do you guys have?
Baby, I'm with you. Right? Like I'm no fan of Alan Wake, but I am Team Alan Wake all the way right here. You know, this is a Alien versus Predator. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. Yeah, let's go, Alan, man. I believe in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I've never played Shattered Memories. Alan Wake, I actually do like the first one. I like the second one better. The first one was cool. I just found it repetitive. Like once you get to like the midpoint of the game, you're just kind of doing the same thing, and I just feel like it dragged. The story was good. I just felt like the gameplay just dragged out a little bit too much for me, but it was still a good game. So yeah, Team Alan Wake.
Same. I love Alan Wake. Even though I do kind of like, but Alan Wake definitely all the way.
I'm gonna. You cut off. So what were you saying? I mean, did he only cut off for me, or did he cut off for you guys too?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So say what you said again.
Hello.
Yeah.
I said Team Alan Wake. Even though I did kind of like Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which I'm very shocked it beat System Shock 2. But yeah, I Alan Wake definitely.
Cool. And anybody else? Rapid, did you? No, you just went. So Conjured, right?
I answered already. I
Okay.
picked Alan Wake. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think everybody went. Okay, so last matchup, guys. We are about to be done, and it's a big one actually. I think it's a pretty big one. Dead Space 2 versus Resident Evil 7. So you got probably the one of the best, if not the best, sci-fi horror game of all time, taking on one of the scariest VR Resident Evil or scariest VR horror games I've ever played. Yeah, this is a this is a tough one for me, honestly.
I'll go last.
All
Dead
right.
Space 2.
Dead Space 2.
I love RE7, but Dead Space 2 too iconic. The gameplay is really fun. It's one of those games you can just play over and over and over again. The scares are still there. The tension is still there. I think RE7 goes down a bit because after you beat the game the first time, the introduction it kind of drags on a little too long with the puzzle and it being such like that the Silent Hills demo thing so many times. It's not as fun in the beginning. The intro, the middle part of Resident Evil 7 is the strongest. Where Dead Space 2 is kind of strong all throughout. So I think Dead Space 2 has that edge over RE7. Where RE7 has the edge more, and so I want to say a little bit of the horror aspect. Dead Space 2 is just a better altogether all around game.
All right. Totally understand.
I agree. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna say
I agree. Dead Space 2 is one of the best games ever made, not just horror, but best games overall. Resident Evil 7 is a good horror game. It was important. It brought us back to the horror and some survival horror style gameplay. But it's a very uneven experience. That whole Margaret section in the house behind the main house, a lot of people don't like the ship section. Very lacking enemy variety. There's like 3 enemies in the game. It's the intro replayability is an issue, but it's an important game. It's a good horror game. It's a good Resident Evil for the mainline series. But yeah. Dead Space 2, man, beginning to end, like literally the beginning of the game is hype as fuck, and just all the way to the end, it's just great. So yeah, Dead Space 2. I hope it takes it, and I think it'll at least make it to round 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go next. I mean, whatever game wins here, I can see going all the way up to round 5 for sure. It's just really about, because the next matchup, like Silent Hill, Shattered Memories, Alan Wake, I feel like both of these games are better than both of those games. So it's definitely going to make it to round 5, whatever wins here. The question is like, which one do I think should win here? Or do I feel like is better? It's difficult because Resident Evil 7 is one of the scariest games I played. It hit me hard. And maybe it's because the first time I played it was on VR. Like I played the VR the first time I played Resident Evil 7. and it was just terrifying. It had such a massive impact on me. And then when you add in all the DLCs that game came out with, like, I mean, that game spoiled us in terms of DLC. Like, no other Resident Evil game, I think, came anywhere close to the amount of DLCs that Resident Evil 7 gave us. There are downsides on it. Someone already pointed in the chat, yeah, this section sucked. The fact that you can't skip cutscenes makes the game a little bit, like, less replayable. So there are definitely issues with it, but I don't know. Resident Evil 7, in my opinion, kind of like saved. Like, I know Resident Evil 6 financially did fine, but it, in my opinion, it saved the franchise from going down a really, really dark path if it continued down the road that Resident Evil 6 set for it. And Resident Evil saved that, and that play, and I know that shouldn't play a factor, in my opinion here, but I don't know. Resident Evil 7 had a bigger impact on me than Dead Space 2, I feel like. And I do think Dead Space 2 is probably the better game, but bias is coming in here, I guess. Resident Evil 7's got my pick.
Which one do you think is going to make it?
Resident Evil 7. I think the Resident Evil name's going to carry.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. As much as I think if Dead Space 2 wasn't going up against any, like, mainline Resident Evil game, it would be fine. But, I mean, you can look at, like, in comparison to, like, other, like, I mean, Alien Isolation is a perfect example. I know you personally don't like Alien Isolation, but that's a perfect example. You got a sci-fi horror game that is probably one of the more popular sci-fi horror games out there, outside of maybe, like, Dead Space, and
then it
maybe
just
System
dies
Shock,
against RE3.
and then it gets
just
murdered by
dies.
RE3.
Yeah.
So if Alien Isolation gets, like, murdered by, like, Resident Evil 3, an OG Resident Evil game, recency bias for Resident Evil 7 is going to play a huge factor. And then, you know, if sci-fi horror didn't do as good in, like, other parts of the poll, yeah, I think Resident Evil 7's 100% dominating this matchup.
Okay.
But yep, that's me.
Who's up?
What do you got?
I'm picking Dead Space 2 over RE7. I feel like RE7 was good on the first playthrough, but I have a very hard time picking that game back up.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Probably because you can't skip cutscenes.
And compared to, I know, but Village, I can keep playing that game.
Yeah, but you can skip
I don't think
cutscenes.
Can you really?
Yep. Village, you can
Oh, shit.
skip cutscenes.
Yeah,
You can't skip
it's something
cutscenes in
about-
RE7. So I think that's
You
Yeah,
can,
it's
skip,
something
you,
about
you can skip
cutscenes.
the game by turning the console off too.
you can.
Oh,
You're not
that's-
wrong.
But Dead Space 2, but I can keep playing. It just has better replayability for me. I personally don't think it should have won over Visage, to be honest, because of the game it tried to replicate, which is PT. And I feel like Visage did a better job at replicating that experience, way better than RE7. But I am picking Dead Space.
Q. In Rapid Crafter, I know you wanted to be like, or Emma picked Dead Space 2. So Rapid Crafter, you wanted to be last. What do you got?
First Conjured, what did you pick for the last between Shattered Memories and Alan Wake? What was your pick?
Alan Wake.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't here for that. Boy, oh boy. 7 RE7, I'm gonna go back. RE7's marketing, in my opinion, is some of the best, like, video game marketing, just period. I mean, just the hype. Because, like, coming off of RE6 and, like, those games, because there was games in between. We had Rev 1 and 2 and, you know, God Awful, Umbrella Corps, and all these other games. And just seeing that first trailer, like, everyone's like, oh my God, is this PT coming back? Or is this a new Silent Hill? And, you know, then you get the load. I mean, just everything about that marketing was so it was so good.
Yeah.
And then the game itself, I mean, same thing. Well, RE7 is actually my top 5 favorite RE games. But I see, like, why people don't like the replay value. I mean, the intro, first time, even for a first playthrough, I mean, it's a slow build up, but it's a little too slow for me for a Resident Evil game. I like my Resident Evil games to kind of just get into the action, you know, give me a pistol and just let me go crazy, you know. So
I feel that.
but I mean, it was a good intro. I get the replay value. You can't skip cutscenes. You know, like what Mayo said, there's only like 3 enemies in the game. It's just it's inconsistent, not on the same level as Village, but it's still got its inconsistencies. But I enjoyed it overall. I mean, I enjoyed the gameplay and the atmosphere and the mood. I still think Jack Baker is the best part of the game. or at least like that first half of the game where you're being chased around the house. I mean, I thought that was awesome. To me, the
don't
replay
undersell Marguerite Baker though. I mean, she's terrifying. She's still one of the most terrifying bosses in the franchise.
her boss fight's actually one of my favorites in the series.
Oh,
I don't know,
absolutely.
it's just the claustrophobicness, her crawling around. I mean, I don't have a fear of spiders, nothing like that, but just hearing her like, I'm like, ooh, like, you know, it's creepy. But to me, the replay value for 7, and a lot of people sleep on 7's DLC. RE7's DLC is some of the best DLC in the entire series, which really is not much, you know, but to me, that's where the replay value lies. You know, I mean, you got the survival mode where you have to survive in the basement for 5 nights and you get weapon upgrades. And if you guys haven't played it, I'd check it out. It's probably one of my favorite DLCs for that game. But to me, that's where the replay value is. It's in the DLC. So yeah, that's how I feel about 7. Dead Space 2, I mean, I probably like it. Honestly, I think I probably like Dead Space 2 more than Dead Space 1 remake. I just, man, that intro is just, they throw you into, you know, you just came off the first game, you're laying there, everything seems normal, and then, you know, the guy gets attacked, and the game makes you feel vulnerable. Like, you're not just lying there with your gear. I mean, you're tied up, you're wrapped up, and you can't use your arms, you know, and you got this monster in front of you, this necromorph in front of you, and you're running through, and glass is breaking, and people are screaming. And that is, to me, one of the best intros to any horror game. I mean, it's insane. So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I
I would say like that intro is up there with like the first Parasite Eve game. Like, yeah, it's one of the most craziest intros for sure for a survival horror game.
yeah, and then I mean, just from start to finish, it's just the ending boss fight, that dialogue between Isaac and Nicole. I mean, I love that. He's like, you know, because he feels betrayed, and man, the voice actor, he killed it. You know, he's like yelling at her, like, you know, F you and F your marker. You know, I'm like, damn, man, like, you know, it gets me hyped up. It gets me, so I mean, just I'm dragging the song because both games, to me personally, like, these are like the two titans to me. Like, I love both these games, but I mean, I could be biased for both, but I'd probably have to go with RE7. Honestly, for no good reason. It's Resident Evil. I mean, if I was being honest, both of these are neck and neck for me.
Nice.
But if I had to pick, it'd be 7.
All right, good to hear. So that pretty much wraps it up. So I one quick thing I want to do before we because I'm gonna announce like how the next round of polls are gonna be, because we're gonna slow down the polls a little bit since now there's less matchups, so I don't have to post like them like twice a day anymore. But before I go ahead and announce how we're gonna handle that going forward, I just want to go to specifically. I want to go to Rapid Crafter and since the other three of us pretty much threw out our dark horse picks. I think last week we did it. So I want to hear like, so you can't pick a Resident Evil game because we feel like, okay, Resident Evil is probably going to win on this channel, right? So if you had to throw out a dark horse pick, what do you got?
Like the game that's gonna win.
That you
like
think
the
will
game
make it
that's gonna
farther
win.
than expected. That would probably make
farther than people expect. Maybe not win.
Yeah. Exactly.
Let me see. I'm scrolling.
Sure.
All right, dark horse win. I have 2: BioShock and Dead Space.
Dead Space remake.
Those are my 2. Yeah, Dead
Or
Space
Dead Space
remake.
2. Okay, Dead Space remake. Got it.
Dead Space remake and BioShock. Those are my dark horses.
Cool. If you had to pick one of them, which one would you go with?
BioShock.
All right, got it. All right, and what about you, Rapid? Dark horse pick.
This is tough.
Yeah. So for the record, just so you know, I chose Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Obviously, just chose BioShock and technically a Dead Space remake as well. You can still choose Dead Space remake though. Let's see. Conjure chose The Last of Us, and Mayo. I don't remember what you picked, man.
I remember I picked something last time. And
I
was
think
like,
it might have been Fear or Evil Within, but I'm not 100% sure. I would have to.
if it was Fear, then I'll double down on that. I think Fear is stronger than people think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, I'll go back and look at the video, see if I can pull it up again. But yeah, I know it was. I can't remember what it was, honestly. I don't remember what Starlight was in the chat earlier. Does anybody remember what Starlight's pick was? I don't.
No.
All right. I'll get it from Starlight. I just want to see how the Dark Horse picks are doing right now. But yeah, because it seems like all of our Dark Horse picks are still in it. Yeah. So what do you got, Rapid?
I'm gonna say it's between BioShock and Dead Space Remake. Between those two, I'm gonna go a little risky. I'm gonna say BioShock.
You should be interesting. Make it interesting and go Dead Space Remake. Let have BioShock.
Oh, did he say BioShock? All right, I'll go Dead
Yeah,
Space.
he went BioShock. So you go Dead Space Remake. That way everyone has a different one.
Yeah, I got you on Dead Space.
If BioShock wins, though, I'm sorry. If it makes it farther than the rest of the Dark Horse picks, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. MME can have that one.
All right. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go over where everybody let you know how the polls are gonna work real quick, and then we'll go to you guys so that way you guys can tell everybody where to find you and what your channels are about. But real quick, chat. So the way the polls are gonna work going forward, we're gonna slow things down a little bit since we're down to 16 matchups, so the tournament's getting a little bit smaller now. So I don't have to post twice a day. Instead, what I'm gonna do going forward is that we're gonna post the poll at 12 p.m. Eastern. Every single day, just one poll. So it's just gonna be one matchup, one per day. So you're not gonna see 2 polls per day anymore. And that's gonna start tomorrow. So this round should end, ideally, assuming I don't mess up at all, will end in about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Because there's 60 matchups. So yeah, and just over 2 weeks, and then of course I'll reach out to the creators and see if anybody wants to join the next podcast. And things are getting wrapped up. It's getting down to the wire. A lot of Resident Evil games still hanging in there, of course. But yeah, it's getting down to the wire. So we'll see how things play out. Again, you have to vote. You guys have all the power. You vote on which game you want to go move on the tournament. It's completely up to the community to vote. So vote. Anyways, before I let everybody go, I just want to give all the creators a chance to tell you guys, chat, where you can find all of them and a little bit about their channels. So let's start with the newest person to the channel, Where can everybody find you and a little bit about what you do?
Hey, what's up, guys? You can find me on YouTube and Twitch. My YouTube is MMDRE. I do mostly Resident Evil, but I'm also doing horror game challenges in general. I'm everything about horror games. I only really do challenge runs on that channel. If you guys like watching masochists lose their mind doing ridiculous challenges that don't really make any sense for no reason at all, I recommend you check me out on YouTube. And I stream the challenges on Twitch, MMDVG1 on Twitch, if you guys want to check my Twitch out and watch the live stream in general. But yeah, that's basically what I do. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for being here, dude. Same thing, Rapid Crafter. Where can everybody find you and a little bit about your channel?
You can find me on YouTube at Rapid Crafter, Twitter Rapid Crafter YT. Covered news for a while, but I'm gonna start doing some analysis stuff, some lore videos, some cut content, and the drill. So yeah, that's it.
Cool, man. And Under the Mayo, where same thing. Where can people find you? What do you do?
Oh, they can find me in the garbage.
Oof. Rough. Do you want to let them know a little bit about your channel?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing a bunch of Doom stuff because it just came out. I'm finding some tech strategy, and I'm working on a big video about Resident Evil 3's place as the official sequel and story-wise. That's going to be a cool video, so tune in for that.
Does
we get
that
to
have to
Doom
do
stuff.
with the whole drama between like Code Veronica and Resident Evil 3
Yeah,
Nemesis?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm taking that head on.
Nice.
And
You're
it's
gonna
gonna
piss
be
a
good.
lot of people off. I love that.
I'll be
though.
there, man.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that.
I
be
don't
there.
agree with it, but I'll be there and I'll support you.
It's
for
it's
sure.
one of those scripts that is like, added to and tweaked on and off over a period of months, and that will eventually feel right. It's one of those kinds of scripts.
Nice.
So yeah, it's gonna be good. And but I don't know when it's coming. I got to get the Doom stuff out of my system first.
All right. Cool, man. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. And then Contra Line, of course. Most of the people in our communities are relatively the same, so they probably already know, but
Yeah,
let
they
people
already
know,
me.
where they can
But
find
you
you.
can just
and-
search me up at Conjure Lion. I'm doing 3 new videos, new theory videos, and I also stream weekly, and that's pretty much it.
All right, cool, man. And Matt, I saw what you said about I think his name's Anthony from LTRE. I've actually reached out to him. I talked to him a little bit. He's in the server. I just I don't think his schedules line up to be on the podcast yet. But yeah, maybe some point in the future we'll definitely try to get him on. Even if it's not for one of these tournament podcasts, I want to continue these podcasts doing something after this tournament ends. I don't know what yet. Maybe we'll talk about news. Who knows? But yeah, we'll definitely keep talking to him, see if we can get him on one of these episodes. Avalanche Reviews, Jared is another person I definitely want to get on the channel at some point. His schedule just hasn't lined up yet. So we'll see what happens.
He's too busy flexing in front of the Japanese public.
I know, man. Living it up in Tokyo. Jealous. But yeah, so again, thank you to all the creators for being here for this. Hey, you know what, we beat last week, so we didn't last 3 hours, we only lasted 2 hours, so that's a W in my book, especially since we had more people, so yay. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of this tournament plays out, looking forward to any surprises in the tournament. Again, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Chat, thank you for being here. Till next time, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Nerd Space Games. Take care.
Peace.